Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Erasmus Expeditions. We are here with a very special trilogy campaign. This is going to be Session 2, or Act 2, if you want to think about it that way, of a Firefly-themed game. Is going to be run using Cortex Prime. This is only the second time that I've run this, so we're going to see how it goes. But yeah, this is called Stepping Stones, and tonight's episode is titled A Snowflake's Chance. This has been incredible so far, even though we've only had a session 0 and one true session thus far, and I'm really, really excited to be getting to the second act of the story. But before I do want to go ahead and give the same warning I do at the beginning of all of my games, and that is if foul language or mature subject matter or immature potty humor is something that bothers you, well, this is the wrong place for you to stop in the internet. I don't know where the right place is, but it's not here. I'm also going to pass things over to my players so that they can introduce themselves, tell you what they have going on, where you might be able to find them on the internet, etc., etc. And then I think we can get started. So we're going to start first with my brother from another mother, Jake.
Hey, Internet, it's Jake from the vast media empire of Mini Terrain Domain.
Ooh.
And by vast media empire, I mean a Twitch channel and a YouTube channel.
Whoa.
And that's where you can find me and some of these others when I'm not here playing awesome space games in the verse with these awesome folks. And I'm playing Scoot McDuff.
Absolutely a pleasure to have you here, Jake. It's incredible to think that I've been lucky enough to get the chance to play under you as a GM for the last almost 4 years, going on 4 years.
About 3.5.
Yeah, on a weekly basis, pretty much a weekly basis, which is obscene. I think it probably means that you're the DM that I've played under the most. It has to, like, after 4 years of weekly play, like that's
we've played
amazing.
120 plus games just of Dawnbringers.
Yeah, that's incredible. And that's only one of the campaigns that you run, which is just absurd. But yeah, definitely a vast media empire, to be sure. All right, next up is Carrie.
I am Carrie. I am a vassal in the domain, occasionally on loan to other such channels as Erasmus Expeditions. I play in Jake's Monday night game, the Candlekeep Mysteries, where stuff is really heating up. You should go check us out over there on Twitch Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern. I play on a couple other channels as well. We play on Dice Tales Live. We play once a month. We actually just aired our most recent episode this past Friday night. I'm just kind of all over the place. Big bearded nerd once in a while and all that good stuff. So lots of fun, and I'm excited to play.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm happy to have you here. You knocked the first session out of the park, and like I said, I've seen you play in a lot of games, a lot of Jake's games, and I'm really happy that you're here on the channel. So welcome. All right, Next up we have Austin.
Hello, I'm excited to be playing in this game today. I generally don't have a whole lot to plug because I have no media empire, nor do I participate in one. Although I will say I think Jeremy's probably the DM I've played under the most online. But let's see. Other than that, there is another game of Jeremy's running that I'm playing in that is real fun. Fourth Thursday of every month. It's a real fun one. And then in the near future, Lloyd's running a One Ring game that I am psyched to be in. I'm gonna be a human protector of a little hobbit buddy. So I'm psyched to get into this Firefly game though and get back to it, because I'm really sad that this is like, oh no, once we're done with this, we're going to be 2/3 of the way done with this whole game, because it's really shaping up to be something awesome so far. So psyched to get into it.
Yeah, dude, same. And yeah, Evermore La Masquerade is the 4th Wednesday of the month. We'll get it probably by the time that the campaign wraps up. Everybody will be on the same page as to when it is, and because none of us can keep it straight yet. We're only like six episodes in, I think. But only half a year.
It's either
no,
the
but that is-
third, fourth, or last Wednesday of every month.
or Thursday,
One
or
of
yeah,
those.
it's one of the days that ends in Y. Yeah. But it is an incredible game. We had our last session just this past week, and it was a lot of fun. Lots of layers. All right. Speaking of lots of layers, Jeff.
I am famous for my many layers. Yes, hello, I'm Jeff. If you want to see my stuff, I'm on Tabletop Terrors with Tim and James Carney. But yeah, I'm not on not on a whole lot of other places right now, not nearly as much as I used to be. For the detriment of some parts of my social life and the benefit of my overall mental well-being. But where I am very glad to be, which is here in this game. And I'm really looking forward to it. Last session was awesome. And I'm sure the rest of them will continue to be so.
I truly hope so, man. And yeah, I'm happy to see you again, because you've played in a couple of campaigns of mine here on the channel, and it's always good to see you. All right. Speaking of always good to see you, last but certainly not least, we have Lloyd.
That's a much better segue, I think. Speaking of lots of layers.
You don't want layers?
I too am an onion. I'm Lloyd. I have a Twitch channel where I occasionally, very rarely, run a game. Most of my gaming is now not recorded or streamed, and that has drastically improved my enjoyment of those games. For running, at least. But I'm always happy to play in one. I'm certainly happy to play in a Jeremy game whenever I get the chance. And I'm very excited to get back to this. This is such a weird crew of lovable, mostly weirdos. And I'm very excited to see how they get on today after shooting a man in the leg last time.
I'm sure there will be no consequences. Yeah, man, I'm super happy to have you back on the channel as well. You were a player for a long time in Whispers and Fragments, and being able to bring you back for the final session for that was incredible. It gave the end of that campaign an incredible send-off, and yeah, happy to have you back. All right, I think without further ado, then, we are ready to hop back into this. Everybody ready? No burning questions? All right, let's do it. When we first pushed out into the untamed frontier of the Black, we discovered that there was more than one heaven and hell. Heavens were the planets and moons that we could terraform to make as close to Earth it was as possible. Places where life could not only exist, but thrive. Trouble is, heavens are few in number, and living there ain't ever the cheap option. If you can't pay, you'll eventually find a gate that you aren't allowed through. The hells out here, on the other hand, are plentiful, easy to come by, and most folks will find that their gates are always wide open. We see the Heck once more sailing the Black. Some undisclosed time in her past. We pan through the ballroom of this once lavish pleasure yacht, now filled with various cargo crates and netting, dust and grease. We join Lily as she passes through. Carrie, if you would please, describe to us what it is that you're doing when you find that something else has now gone missing, and why you're starting to think that it might be a ghost.
So Lily would just sort of be kind of coming through here. We have the part that we needed from Miser's point. She had to run down here because there were a couple of extra like extenders she needed for a few bolts. She had to fix the stripped threads on it. So she needed just a couple of things that she didn't. Is it in the past? Sorry. My bad. So I'm coming through here then I would just be walking through, just sort of like looking around pretty nervously, kind of ducking back around, like there are these beautiful pillars and there's just crates and everything everywhere. And Lily would just sort of be making her way through this area, kind of like looking quickly around corners and always kind of feeling like there's something behind her, and sort of just jumpier than you would have seen her like in the last episode.
What is it that you have found missing this time?
I would have found, let's see. So at this point, how long have I been on this ship? Is it minutes, days, weeks, months?
You've probably been weeks or months at this point.
Okay. What has gone missing this time is it's actually something of mine. It's one of my lists that I took a while to put together. It's the first of many lists Lily would make over the years about parts. And it's confusing because nobody would want to take that. Nobody would need that other than her, which makes this feel personal and then that much more terrifying because of that.
I think like you've searched for this list high and low. This isn't the first thing that you've found missing in recent days. And at some point you kind of wander back to kind of the engine room of the Heck. And as you kind of wander back there, you kind of look at whatever the current situation is of the engine room. You know, you're in the middle of kind of a project. And you had stepped away to go look for this list, but now you've kind of come back and you've made up your mind. You know, you're going to get back to work, and you reach for one of your tools. It's always in the same place. You keep it there, you know, at all times, and it's not there either. It's gone.
And you would hear like Lily just starts under her breath, just cursing this string in Mandarin. And she would finally like radio up to it's like, Quinn, where are you?
Ship's flying. Where do you think I am?
So this item that's lost out of Lily's space is like one of her like ratchets, like one of her like gasket sets. And like, have you seen my wrench or my list or my other wrench or the spark plug set that is missing too? Have you seen any of those things?
What? No, I've been in the cockpit all day. But what did you take my coffee, by the way?
Why would I take your coffee?
Well, I had a thermos. I had a thermos of coffee in the. No, okay. Never mind. No, I haven't seen the ratchet. You misplacing things?
No, I'm not. There's something going on around here and I don't like it. And I think we might be haunted, adding to our very, very long list of problems. I'll keep an eye out for your thermos if you keep an eye out for my gasket set. And my list. And my wrench. And the spark
Haunted?
plugs. How else everything's going missing. Silas said something was missing from him too. He was bitchier about it than I was, but you know, that's neither here nor there.
You know this channel is open right now, right?
Bitchier.
I think it's the machinery in the engine room. It's not always the greatest reception. Shit. And that's about where we'll leave it.
Perfect. I love it. Okay. So we cut back to the present. And we see the Heck kind of slip past this protostar named Lux. Persephone orbits a protostar. In turn, this protostar named Lux orbits Baihu, the white star that kind of forms the center of our little verse. Discovered in 2176, Hades is a nearly featureless ball of rock rolling in a slow and lazy ellipse around its mother planet of Persephone. Terraforming had been attempted, but all Hades had to show for it now was atmosphere. Aside from a few low mountain ranges and a few thicker places, the crust of the moon was too thin and brittle to colonize. A few times a year, Hades pulls in a bounty of asteroids into its orbit as it passes through the halo belt that circles the core planets. Eventually, those fall out of orbit, but now some Jiju Kongming scientists has discovered that these asteroids are rich in HTX-20, also known as Satan's Snowflake. This compound, which is similar in usage and volatility to nitroglycerin, is very profitable. So now, an entire mining industry has sprung up around the moon of Hades. This is your current destination. Yase Kashi, the captain of the border roll, has been wounded and held captive by the crew of the Heck. His ship is currently impounded on this second moon of Persephone. But in the days of travel between New Melbourne, which is where you last were, and the moon of Hades, what kind of things do we see the crew getting up to? What's currently happening?
Lily's working.
This is a pretty simple run for the ship. So he's got a sort of auto trajectory plugged in, and but Quinn he's kind of organizing in the what would be the word for it? Like the mess hall, I guess. I don't know. Whatever our galley, like a galley.
Galley.
Or it's a ship. Yeah. So you'd be kind of organizing the galley, trying to kind of bring it up to a slightly more orderly look.
Are we in the station already?
No, not yet.
No, we're on the way there. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Silas will be making lists of things we need to pick up, minor things. Like, I don't think there's anything crucial, like a Jeffrey's tube this time. But little things like, oh, we're out of like space ketchup. We got to get some of that. And like that sort of stuff. He'll be making lists of all that stuff so he can go on and negotiate and haggle with somebody to get all the like necessary things that make life bearable out in the black.
I imagine Van is not like incredibly vigilantly, but just sort of vaguely making sure our prisoner doesn't get up to any sort of shenanigans while we're on the way over to his ship. He's already attempted some shenanigans prior, so he's not going to get too far with an injured leg, and presumably have some sort of place to lock him up or whatever.
Okay.
But still, you can never be too careful.
I was concerned for a second that we were just letting him wander, and I was like, no, okay. No, thank you.
So where is it on this pleasure yacht that you have him like quarantined or
I think it's like
isolated?
100% the like laundry area. Little Futurama joke as well, but like the laundry brig, it's like the room where we put all the stuff that we don't use a lot, which includes like washer, dryer. Because it's a pleasure yacht, it has, I would say, maybe an abundance of water compared to an average ship, because it would have been very expensive, or at least the ability to use an abundance of water.
Sure.
So it's got like a washer dryer sort of situation, like a proper lovely shower and stuff like that in it. And we'll keep them there. That's also where we keep like all the bulk supplies and like all that sort of stuff. But it has a lockable door, or at least it does now after Lily saw to it, I guess.
Excellent. And what about Scoot? What is Scoot up to?
I imagine if Lily's in the engine room working, Scoot's helping by probably sitting on top of one of the engine housings. And I have where I'm sitting up on this engine housing a little higher up, kind of just sitting there cross-legged. I've got the pistol just sort of sitting in my lap, and I've got the one bullet. I got the one bullet that was given to me out, and I'm just holding the bullet and just catching it, just flicking it up and catching it.
Every so often, Lily would call from like this. She's kind of like down, like inside this housing, and Lily would like reach her hand up and call for a certain tool or a certain other thing, and hope that Scoot hands it to her, because she likes when he's here. If he's not busy, he's going to get into trouble. So she always gives him a job, even if it's just kind of to keep him busy.
Yeah, and I imagine this is something we've done enough that I probably know exactly what tools you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I'll take a break, flipping the bullet in the air whenever she asks for a tool and hand it to her.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So you're making your way towards Hades, and you're keeping busy, killing time. The trip takes probably close to a week, so there's plenty of downtime to be had, and you probably all make ample use of the spaciousness of this pleasure yacht, being able to kind of spread out and spend some time on your own. But at some point, and I'll let you determine who that's going to be, but I imagine you might head back to this laundry room brig to check on your prisoner, Yasukashi. Who would that be?
I think Quinn would be.
I'm already in the area, so.
Okay, yeah, go for it.
It could be both of you if you want.
Yeah, I guess Quinn might head back at some point and just like check in with Van, I guess. Even has he said anything?
Just going in to check up.
All right, I'll follow, but I'll let you do the talking. We should find out everything we can from him.
Okay, the two of you kind of undo this lock that Lily had constructed for you or found for you somewhere and rigged to this door. You make your way inside and you find Yasukashi kind of somewhat comfortable, kind of laid up like on a couple of sacks of some kind of grain or rice or something. He kind of made himself like a little place to sit. And Lloyd, tell me something that Silas might have, maybe even like the cookies that Scoot had found, some kind of little treat that might have been stored in this room.
He probably has a bottle of wine stored here somewhere, or had, I guess.
Sure, yeah.
He probably would have, there would have been some on the yacht, and when they started to sort of turn this into their home, he would have, I think, hidden a few of them so that the riffraff on the ship didn't help themselves to his very expensive wine, because no one spent a lot of time in the laundry brig,
right? Well, apparently, Quinn and Van, as you enter and you see Yasukashi, he is reclining, drinking this expensive looking bottle of wine. It's probably halfway gone at least at this point. And he just kind of finishes the swig that he's taking whenever you unlock the door, kind of wipes his mouth on the back of his sleeve. Oh, hey, how's it going?
You enjoying yourself?
As much as I can with a bullet in my leg.
You'll be getting off lucky if that bullet in your leg is the only one you walk out of here with. If Silas sees you with that bottle of wine.
Silas is well, must be the other one. It's not here. Not the kid. It's not the mechanic. Well, I mean, it was just kind of laying around here. Figured, might as well.
Yeah, it seemed that's what you thought about the ship as well. That's just attitude
Well,
of yours.
Look,
Take whatever's around.
The ship was. I needed a way off that rock, okay? And the ship was there, and yeah.
Are you just going to stand here and justify your attempt at a theft of our own vessel?
Look, I don't know what you want from me. Like, you would have done the same thing in my place. Am I right? Am I wrong? He kind of looks right at Quinn.
I don't know about that. Listen, I'm not an unreasonable man. I'm willing to hear you out. I just want to know where it is you need to go and why it is you need so badly to get off the Persephone.
Look, I told you, Hades is where my ship is impounded. And, once we get there and we get my ship back, I can trade out the Gersler 8s to you. You can take them, and just, they're yours.
Well, yes, they are mine. They're already mine. I won them in the game. So now we just need to discuss the compensation for this transport run. Now, normally I would offer you a very reasonable fee, but I will say I'm slightly perturbed by the fact that you tried to steal my ship before negotiating the price, and that might drive up the cost just a little bit on your end.
The transport, like, you have to be joking. You kidnapped me. You shot me and then you kidnapped me. Like, you locked me in this.
We apprehended someone attempting to steal our ship, and now we happen to be taking you to the exact location that you're asking to be taken to. I think this is a win-win for everyone, other than the bullet in your leg. I admit that might be seen as a bit of a loss for you, but again, it could have been much worse.
This is the problem with the Alliance and the way that you guys do things.
Hey.
This is
calm
you
down.
Just shoot people and then you act like you're doing them a favor. This is. Look.
If it makes you feel any better, I did not feel like I was doing you a favor when I shot you.
Somehow that doesn't make me feel any better, but thanks, I guess.
You're welcome.
Look. The guy that's got my ship impounded, he's like stupidly rich. He's got a ton of money. He's got these absurd things around. These things that cost, millions of credits. You can have whatever you want, as long as I get my ship back.
Oh, he'll just give it to us for for doing him the nicety of returning you.
No, that's not the deal. No, you can't give me to him. Look, whatever it is that you need, I can help you get it. But please, I'm begging you, please do not turn me over to this guy. He's bad news. He's not just a bullet in your knee bad news.
What's the name of the guy that runs this place?
His name's Mr. Neptune.
Interesting.
He kind of looks at you a little, like cocking his head to the side.
I've heard the name.
You know, well then you know what kind of a guy he is. Why you can't turn me over to him. He'll space me.
Perhaps. And what do we get in return for not turning you over to him? Because it sounds like if he's bad news for you, then he probably would have good news for us giving you to him.
No, I mean, I'm not worth anything to him. He's just that kind of guy that likes to scare people. He likes to hurt people.
Quinn will ask through a big smile. So what'd you do to piss him off?
He kind of smiles but shakes his head. He's involved in this mining operation outside of Hades. It makes him even more money, and I tried to. I was just gonna, load up a little bit that was, extra. Some of this stuff that they're mining out there. It's called HDX 20, and I was just gonna take a little bit of it and try to see if I could, turn a profit with it. And I was gonna pay him back what it was worth on the market. I had some friends that were interested, and they were willing to pay, a lot of credits for it. So,
Van, is it just?
I do have to say that
this fellow seemed to have a real pattern of acquiring goods that don't seem to belong to him.
I have to say I respect the consistent adherence to a life philosophy. It's respectable.
Look, there's only so many ways, somebody can make credits out here in the black. You're gonna tell me that you don't take the odd job here and there that isn't exactly legal?
Oh, a good alliance boy like me, I would never dream of it.
No, that's right. That's right. All the horrible shit that you boys do is all legal. You make sure of that, don't you?
Take a look at my coat. Do you see any insignia? Does it look like I'm with the Alliance anymore? Do I seem to be flying with them? Are these the core planets?
You probably have the insignia tattooed on your ass.
Listen, I'm going to tattoo your ass with my boot print if you don't shut up.
Kind of puts his arms up, almost like a sign of no contest. Look. We got off on the wrong leg, and he kind of indicates his shot knee. Maybe we could just start over, Maybe we could figure out how we can help each other. At least we can pretend to be friends.
I'm not here trying to moralize. I've done things that would make you seem like a saint. I'm not trying to say that I'm better than you or that you're morally unforgivable. You just crossed the wrong people, that people being us. I'm not mad that you stole. I'm mad that you stole from us.
But I didn't. He kind of like shrugs his shoulders. I mean, I might have tried, but I didn't. You didn't lose anything. You still
We've
got
lost
ship?
half a bottle of wine, at least.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's just what we know.
I can pay you back for that too. He kind of like sets it down almost sheepishly.
Look, once we get those ship parts, you can call that squared away on your game with Quinn. As for the rest, tell me everything you know about this Mr. Neptune and Hades that you can. If it's enough to be worth it, we might consider not killing you or giving you to him.
He kind of like runs his hand kind of over his kind of slicked back hair. And he just nods. Then he will tell Van and Quinn what he knows. There's not a ton of new information that he knows outside of what you might already understand yourselves, but he will tell you that Neptune is a notorious underworld boss who lucked into or forced his way into the head of operations for an organization called the Hades Orbital Mining Enterprise. It's called HOME for short. And Hades itself, as I said, is not a planet where terraforming is really possible. So there's only really one town that has developed on the moon, and that is the town of hold on, I gotta find where I have it written. Shilio. Shilio is a small little town that basically just serves the space transport extraction and mooring platform where ships can come and go from the surface. And if these asteroids that kind of fall into orbit of this planet are actually being mined for the HDX-20, and it is, a source of them, then it's very likely that there's a lot of money flowing through this place. And that's everything I know. He keeps some goons around, some hired thugs and things. He keeps 2 bastards on his payroll. 2 of them that are really something else. One of them is named Greedy McCreed, and the other one is named Doc Scopes. And both of them they're nasty in their own right.
You said he had a lot of stuff around here that was quite valuable. You just talking about this HDX-20 stuff, or has he got more?
No, he's got like antiques and relics and things that he keeps in his office. He has his office in in the brothel. It's called the Shady Lady. It's upstairs. There's a room he lets out, and it's kind of where he sets up shop.
Van will kind of glance over to Quinn with that, like, anything else you need sort of look.
Is it just the 2 he keeps on him? How many more does he have in terms of security? Pretty hefty security presence.
Yeah, like I said, he's got a handful of goons that are always around. Just hired thugs and things. People that like to. He kind of again gestures to his knee. But maybe half a dozen to a dozen.
Where is your ship impounded?
Well, it should still be at the STEM, the space transport extraction and mooring platform. It's the only place that ships can land on the surface, unless he's got it in orbit for some reason.
How do we get you to your ship if we want to get those Garslers?
Well, we could just land at the STEM, and we try to make the exchange, but I mean, it's going to take some time, and I don't imagine that, our presence is going to go unnoticed. It's not exactly a popular place.
All right, I guess we'll have to take a look at it. Scope it out once we get there.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna do this. Can I have my gun back?
That's a good one. That's funny. You're very funny. I appreciate your sense of humor.
Well,
We'll talk more when we get back, when we get a little closer to landing.
Yeah.
And he's gonna
Okay.
like start exiting and getting prepped to like lock the door again.
Van will lean down, like nearby to where this guy's leg has been shot. Sort of like almost going to motion as like Silas had done before, but instead he'll just reach, grab the bottle of wine out of this guy's hand and just like
Oh, what? Oh,
shake his head at him.
Just what? What? Oh, I guess I'll just hang out here. He says, like the door shuts.
We have to keep an eye on him. He is absolutely going to try to grab it at the first opportunity.
It's incredible, honestly. Just the devotion to this single-handed craft of being just slimy and disgusting.
You almost admire the dedication. I swear he would steal his own grandmother's pearls if he could.
And then
Just
try to
anything-
tell her why he was right to do so and why he had no other choice and anyone else would do the same, yada. He will try something again if we let him.
Absolutely. I have no doubt about that. We'll see what maybe what Neptune is willing to pay for him. Maybe. I don't know. That seems a little underhanded, a little scummy, but to be honest, I'm a little pissed he tried to steal our ship. And he just thinks back for a second, like just kind of internally says, even though I tried to steal the ship when I first got on it.
Hey, like I told him, I'm not mad that he's tried to steal. He just picked the wrong ship, the wrong people. Anyway, about this whole Mr. Neptune thing, I have some news about that too. He would say this, making sure that we're already like well out of earshot of the locked laundry laundry door. If we want to gather up the crew, I didn't get a chance to tell anyone amidst the gesture back towards the locked laundry brig. We got us some work while we were docked.
Good to know. And Quinn will just get on the radio immediately and call a crew meeting, probably in the galley.
And I think that's where we like hard cut, and we find ourselves back in the past again at a different time when Quinn might have called together the crew. But we see that it is just the four of you, Van, Quinn, Lily, and Silas, currently. Quinn, the reason that you have called this particular meeting, this past meeting, is because you have now discovered something in addition to your thermos that is missing or out of place. And this is when the group is coming together to talk about what is going on.
Listen, I'm not accusing anyone of anything. I know we've had some issues with things going missing, but I earned a few medals in my time in the Alliance, and I keep them in my quarters. Has anyone been in my quarters? The medals are missing. They have some sentimental value. They're not worth anything, and you'll kind of like side-eye Van, who he's still not fully sure of at this point. Like, they're not worth anything. The metal is very common. They're really just worth something to me. So I just like to ask all of you, do any of you have anything you'd like to bring forward? Or you could just return them to my quarters. And he's like clearly being a little paranoid and suspicious about the whole crew at this point.
And Silas won't say anything, but he will sort of not like overtly, but he'll look at Lily, assuming that she stole the stuff. Not like but rather like while Quinn is talking, he'll definitely sort of like look to her to try and read her reaction because he assumes it's her.
Yeah, Lily just looks pissed off, like, yeah, was it any of you? Kind of like that look, because like she's lost personal shit too that wouldn't make any sense for people to steal. Do I happen to notice him peeking over or no?
Well, maybe we could get a roll.
Let's.
We'll find out. We
Alright.
could do an opposed roll.
Okay.
So we'll have both of you build a dice pool and then basically just roll off between you.
Sure.
Now, obviously, the numbers would be a little bit different than they would be because it's in the past, but whatever. We'll just roll with it.
Okay.
So let's see here. So both of you kind of see if there's a distinction that might work.
I would think for me, where in the verse are you from all over sort of speaks to Lily's, like, not only literally where she's from, but also like she's sort of like street smarts, kind of like she knows
Sure.
people, she knows their reactions, she knows rich fuckers and how they behave.
Right? Absolutely.
And that he would suspect her of something like this, probably. So that.
Okay, perfect. So that's a D8 for that. And how about you, Lloyd? What about for Silas?
I guess in this case, maybe it's exiled noble, which is part of my first distinction. Like, I think so much of growing up mega wealthy is inferences, is insight, is seeing little reactions in people and being trained, almost professionally to spot lies, to like see reactions.
Sure.
So I think that's what I'd go for this.
Perfect. Okay, and that's also a D8.
Yeah.
Okay. And then an emotion. Is there an emotion that we can think of that's being leveraged by either one of you in this situation?
Mine would be disgust, I think.
Ooh, good.
Anger.
Okay.
Honestly, probably disgust too, because I did write
Sure.
disgust for my relationship thing with Silas.
Okay.
Both are the same, so it's no advantage, but
Sure. Okay. So you'll get your die that's assigned to disgust, both of you. Is there a role associated with trying to figure this out or trying to hide this?
not
Sneak,
really,
perhaps?
honestly.
I think for me it's sneak, but I think since like you didn't do anything, like you're not sneaking, right? Like
Yeah, right. I'm not.
like,
make
but I
sense.
think you are. So
Yeah. So that makes sense. So I won't use sneak. And yeah. That's perfect. Good.
Okay. Maybe thinker then? Trying to
Yeah.
puzzle out
yeah.
who...
Sure. Who?
Okay.
Like, I'm kind of on high alert just having this meeting be called, so that would make sense.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, cool. And then can either of you think if a value or relationship would apply? Obviously, a relationship could probably apply if you wanted to.
Yeah. My relationship with Silas, it's a D4.
Yeah.
And it's
Oh,
based in disgust.
Perfect. Okay.
mine is a D6 currently, but I think it would have been a D4 at this
Okay.
stage, if that makes
Sure.
sense.
Yeah, I'm good with that. Yeah, in exchange for stepping it down, take a plot point.
Question.
Nice.
Question. Wasn't there
Yes.
something about if you are rolling a relationship and the related emotion, don't you like roll
Yeah, like
double
the motion of
emotion?
matches or something.
Yeah.
You roll the relationship die
Oh.
twice instead of the emotion or something.
Let me
I remember that
check
being a thing.
our document. If a character or group that you have an established relationship with is involved with a given role, you may add that relationship die to your dice pool. If your emotion die for this role matches the assigned emotion of that
Yeah.
relationship, double your relationship die for that role instead.
Well, that sounds great. Instead of the emotion.
No, just instead of what you would normally add. So if
Oh,
it's a
okay.
D4,
Okay,
then you're
so-
going to roll 2D4 instead.
2D4. Solid. Good.
Mm-hmm.
I think the
All
value
right.
of justice makes sense for Silas. He thinks that
Ooh,
he's going to
yeah.
catch the thief, and
Mm,
yeah.
cool.
Sure. What about a value for Lily? Do you think one applies here? Truth,
I
maybe?
mean, honestly, probably truth. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
She's an honest person and she doesn't want even a
Sure.
rumor of this to be floating around these people.
Perfect. Okay. I don't know if either of you rather have any signature assets that would necessarily apply.
Not me, not really.
No, I
Okay.
don't think so.
All right.
Can we just
then.
roll them and total them up?
So you roll them all, and then you're going to take 2 dice to choose as your total. And then a third die will be your effect die. And it's basically just what die type that is. The higher the die type, the more effective your success or failure is.
Gotcha.
And then if you roll
Okay.
any ones, those are hitches, and they cannot be applied to either the total or the effect, and you get a plot point for it.
Okay. Let's go, baby.
Okay,
Oh,
I got
boy.
a 1, so on my d6, so that becomes a plot point.
It does. So that means
I got a
4
one
for
on my
you,
D6 as well. So
Okay.
also
3 for you, I believe.
3 for me. That's correct.
My total is 15, and my effect is a d10.
Okay. So can one of the die that I use as my total be the one that I pick, or no? Like
For your
so you
effect to
pick
die?
two dice. Yeah.
No,
I would
it
have
has
to
to
pick
be
a
a
different one to
separate.
be the effect.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So my total is a 15, but my effect is a D6.
Ooh, okay. So it's really, really close. It's kind of one of those things where he's kind of glaring at you, maybe side-eyed a little, and like you start to look, and his eyes dart away at the last second, kind of thing, and you just miss it, I think.
Okay. Perfect.
Maybe this is the trigger for Silas knowing she's telling the truth. Like he reads it on her, and this is when the relationship sort of moves upwards. It could be, you know, or one
There you
of the
go.
steps towards it. For Silas, at least. I know it's not going to change Lily's mind, but
Sort of, no, seeing that kind of self-conscious, like the way Lily's looking around, maybe you kind of realize like, no, she's probably telling the truth. Like it, like you said, it wouldn't affect my thoughts towards Silas, but it might affect his towards her. It makes sense. So I'm just like looking around. I'm like, I've had stuff go missing too. Silas, Van, do you have all your stuff? No, you guys probably don't do a daily inventory, but
I do actually. And yes, everything is accounted for.
when things started to go missing, I began to lock my chambers and lock my drawers. And so I haven't lost anything so far.
well, do we have, Quinn, would you know, is there a security system? I mean, this is a pleasure yacht. There has to be some cameras or motion detection or something. Is there anything like that?
The ship was at one stage equipped with very advanced security measures.
We've been running most of the power out of those. We rerouted basically as soon as we got running so that we could keep down on fuel.
And then we sold them when we got to what was that? He's like clicking his fingers like he can't remember the name of the port. But we sold them because they weren't doing as much good, and there was just the few of us.
Yeah, it was when we landed in Donkey Town. I hated that place.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, when when this thing decides to start taking stuff that's actually valuable, we might be sorry for having sold all the security measures.
We would need a lot more regular fuel intake to be able to support that kind of power.
How about
But I
this?
agree.
How about this? If we don't have any fancy security, how about we go old fashioned like? How about we each take a shift at night? I mean, this stuff isn't going missing during the daytime hours. So how about we take a shift, watch out, listen, and patrol. See if we hear anything, see anything.
What if instead we set a trap?
Ooh, I can do traps. What kind of trap? And Lily's eyes kind of light up.
Well, what about this? And he'll lean in and start like
Ooh.
like whispering conspiratorially, and the plan is and everyone's like, ooh. But the plan would be to like lay out some bait, like something obviously, because if the theory is we have a ghost, then I mean Silas doesn't believe that, but if the theory is that someone is stealing and we leave something valuable and or delicious and or whatever somewhere, maybe we'll figure it out that way.
Perfect. So we then cut from that conversation to the group gathered around the same table. And it's obvious that it's sometime later. Now there's 5 of you. Some of you a little older and wiser, perhaps. Some of you maybe not. Gathering together for a different conversation. This conversation about what might await you on the moon of Hades and what you might be doing about Mr. Neptune and the man who's in your laundry room.
As much as I would love to install those Gerslers, my God, just to hold them. I don't like this at all.
No, we're going to have to be cautious, but I think Van has some good news, so we may be able to scrape a little bit of profit off of this run, regardless of what happens with our guest in the laundry.
Yeah, so first of all, it might not be quite as easy to exchange these ship parts as we'd hoped, with the ship impounded and security from one Mr. Neptune who runs this place around. I don't know if they'll be quite so eager to trade pieces off of an impounded ship, so we'll have to be careful. But there is opportunity here as well. Conveniently, I found some work for us while we were docked. And it happens to be on Hades, where we are going. I spoke to one Roman Sylvia. Yes, that one. And he has some business with Mr. Neptune on Hades. In fact, he doesn't seem to be too thrilled with their current working relationship. Wants us to send a message to Mr. Neptune. Not to kill him or harm him in any specific or particular way, but just to make him aware that other people are not fond of his current activities. So if we can find a way to rough him up a bit or put him in his place, Mr. Sylvia will have a reward for us.
Quinn looks a little puzzled. I say, wait, we're on our way to intimidate the big badass space mobster?
If I remember right, Jeremy, the price that we got is pretty substantial, right?
Yeah, like you had decided that you had a working relationship with Roman Sylvia before, and he basically agreed to pay you whatever it was that you made on the last job for him, and I think plus a little extra even. And he paid you half of it up front, essentially, and the other half is waiting for you when the job's done.
Yeah, so Van would say how much money. I don't know if a specific amount had been settled on, but he'll say it and it would be high, basically.
As soon as he says it, Quinn says, so we're on our way to intimidate the big badass space gangster. So we got to get our ducks in a row.
I think there's a moment where like you say the amount of money and it shows like Lily's face and she's like, and then Quinn's face and everyone's like, and then Silas is like,
Silas is like, meh.
Like, is that all?
There's like a clinking sound as the amount said, and I had still playing with that bullet, flipped it in the air, and it just goes and just lands on the table. Like,
I want to imagine real quick that if Scoot drops the bullet, Lily is sitting next to him. As it bounces, Lily just goes whoosh and grabs the bullet and takes it away from him because it's driving her nuts.
I don't think the best route in this job would be to physically rough up this Mr. Neptune, but there are ways to send the message that he is unpopular without getting that close to him.
Van, what kind of business is this Neptune in? Where does he make his money?
Hades is a mining operation. The Hades Orbital Mining Enterprise is the name of the business. Their current main export is something called HDX-20. Apparently extremely profitable for them to control and to sell.
Every
What is
time
it?
somebody
Is it a
says
drug?
Wait, HD, the explosive compound?
Oh,
Yes.
Oh, wow. They use that making some munitions in the military, and that stuff doesn't fuck around. You got to transport it real careful.
Yes, extremely dangerous, extremely profitable. The two often go hand in hand.
and
every time
extremely
somebody
easy-
mentions
Sorry, go
Mr.
ahead.
Neptune, Scoot giggles. He thinks it's a ridiculous name. And probably makes a comment, especially when Quinn talks about how dangerous this compound is. So this Mr. Neptune's got a mining operation with an explosive compound.
Yes, and
Where's he
For
mining
anyone-
it? In Uranus?
I would kick Scoot under the table hard.
I think it goes over Silas's head. Like he doesn't, it's like such a nothing joke that he's like, no, on Hades. It's been made clear already. Please follow the agenda that we've set out for the meeting.
While rubbing my shin, I'm just looking at Lily because Lily clearly got it.
And Lily is like, she's trying really hard not to laugh, but she thought it was a little funny too.
anyways, this Mr. Neptune is not just your run-of-the-mill businessman. He's dangerous. Ties to a lot of criminal organizations. In fact, we learned from our dear friend who is currently locked up that he's got some security on hand right now. A dozen, maybe 2 dozen, a couple folks, but 2 in particular that he pointed out. A greedy McCreed and a Doc Scopes, apparently extremely dangerous henchmen for this Mr. Neptune, who we can expect to be there and can expect to pose some amount of resistance or threat. But as far as what we can do, for one, obviously there's this HDX-20, though messing with that could be dangerous and perhaps beyond the scope of the damage we would hope to cause. Additionally, he's apparently in possession of some very valuable antiques and such things as that, that we could also try to find and destroy to send a message. But I'm open to other suggestions as to how to proceed.
I mean, we're heading to a place that could explode if we light a match. And we're looking to destroy a good portion of this dude's income. Yeah? Am I missing something? I say we go light the match. That's my vote.
The collateral loss of life would be significant of all of the miners working. Even if a lot of them are in exosuits or in auto miners, it will be beyond what I would consider fair game when it comes to something like this.
And
Lily kind of
and,
would put Lily would put her
this-
feet up on the table and be like, you write this down because it might never happen again. I think Silas is right. That might be
With
a
a,
bad idea.
with a flourish, he'll like produce a new page of and paper already is very expensive, right? He'll like pull that out and he'll like begin writing it in his like beautiful cursive handwriting.
Not to mention
And-
that I think part of Roman's interest in this place is in its potential for better business arrangements. So if we destroy too much of the product and too much of the profit, he loses too. And if he loses, we lose.
This is the Mr. Neptune with the collection of fine things. Is that correct? I've heard that he has a collection of old relics and things from Earth that was.
Yes, apparently all sorts of valuable antiques and objects and artifacts and the like.
I imagine he would be pretty sore if some of those went vanishing.
I'm sure he would.
Scoot, for the first time, sits up and leans forward in his chair when you start talking about pinching things. So how big or small are these things? That we're gonna need to liberate this Mr. Neptune of.
We don't really know exactly what they are yet, but we do know where they are, or at least where some of them are, which would be in his office. So clearly they're small enough to fit in an office, which means small enough to take out of it. But that also means that they're in his office, which will most likely be the most heavily guarded, centralized place.
Listen, I'd love to walk off with a bunch of his things, but I'm thinking if our goal here is to negotiate better terms for our employer, we may need to liberate these items just as a potential leverage point, something we can ransom back to him. If they're artifacts he keeps in his office, it seems he probably holds them quite dear. If we could find something that he loves enough to renegotiate the contract, then I'm sure we could find a way to return it to him.
If possible, I'd like us not to be known too well as part of this operation. While undoubtedly Roman Sylvia has the ability to throw around these sorts of punches without retaliation, we are not quite so fortunate. If
I strongly
we
agree.
are tied too closely to what goes on here, then Mr. Neptune will be quite aware of who we are. And I don't think I need to say what implications that might have for our futures.
There are already too many places out here in the black that we are not welcome. And making an enemy of someone like Mr. Neptune or of Roman Sylvia will again squeeze us tighter and tighter until the only places we can go are true backwaters.
God, I'm not going back to Donkey Town, so let's keep our names out of this.
Whatever we
there
decide to
a
do, go ahead.
You go.
Whatever we decide to do, I'm coming. You guys aren't leaving me behind on the ship again. I'm itching to get off this ship. I need to get off this ship.
I think we
Silas
may
will
need
like
all hands for this one.
slide out a bit of paper with like this huge list of like repairs that have to be done and like things that be taken care of. And he'll like look up and maybe see Lily's face where she's like, I'm definitely coming. And he'll just like slide it back into the stack of paper. There are a couple of options then. We could try and steal something from him, liberate him of some of his most valuable possessions that might, well, certainly will upset him, but I don't know if it'll achieve the goal that we need. If the goal that we need is to destabilize the operation, then what class of worker is more oppressed than asteroid miners? There are a few, I think. Now, the danger there is if we cause some sort of uprising and the miners negotiate for better terms, then Roman Sylvia is not going to want the operation either.
Yes, it's a delicate balance that we have to manage. We want to cause enough problems to get the point across, but not so many problems that we lose the interest of the very reason we're here in the first place.
We got to cause enough problems to get the guards away from his building. wherever his office is. Cause enough problems to do that without getting those people hurt. Get us inside. Scoot grabs all his shit, and we leave.
It might be worth to, while you're in there, he'll say to Scoot, knowing that this is like very much his territory, take some of the valuable stuff, but don't be afraid to make a bit of a mess.
You just see the smile, ear to ear grin just form on Scoot's face.
Could we maybe leave a note in his office with our new desired terms? If we're trying not to meet face to face with the man, maybe if we leave the office in a bit of disarray, let him know that we can get close to him.
The terms
him
are
know.
not ours to negotiate.
Another option is if this Mr. Neptune has a reputation as being a tough guy and has a number of tough lieutenants, the removal of some of those lieutenants might see his strength waning.
I had the same thought. If these McCreed and Scopes get hurt or significantly worse than that, that could also send a strong message. His most valuable men are not safe there.
I think that's the best way to send the message. And if a little bit of cat burglary occurs along the way and we get richer for it, doesn't seem to be a problem for me.
I can't complain about that. I just want to make sure that we end up getting our employer's message across and that he knows that he needs to do better business.
With the lieutenants taken care of and some of his toughest men dealt with, he'll be in a much weaker position to negotiate or to resist advances from Roman Silva.
Yeah, we don't actually need to arrange any specific terms of business here. We just need to destabilize his position of power to give him less to bargain with when it comes to the people who actually have the money to talk to this sort of person.
One more thing that might be beneficial if we're able to swing it, if the distraction that we're able to create to maybe draw his guards out can also, if we can do it clear and close enough to the shipyard that we could get into that impounded ship, it would be, I'd love to get those Gerslers before we get out of here. Or maybe
Me
help
too.
take the whole ship if we're pissing off Neptune anyway.
So
Yeah,
it sounds
Silas
like
is-
some of us will split to find these lieutenants, rough them up a little bit, while the others attempt to break into the office to make a bit of a mess.
Think it might be wise to try to cause some sort of sabotage or malfunction somewhere to try to draw some of the security away from the main office, though.
Won't trying to steal an impounded ship draw some security that way? I mean, it sounds like we're talking about killing two birds with one stone.
We're talking about killing several birds with one stone. We have at least 3 separate plans going on at the moment. He'll look down at his sheet of paper, which has like a flow chart, like neatly labeled and like different colors and stuff on it. Like that he's been looking at the different plans and how they might go. And like the conclusion at the bottom is like failure, because there's too many things going on at once. And he'll say, if we need a distraction, maybe we can revisit the idea of causing some sort of problem among the miners. That would draw a lot of security, maybe all of the security, because that is where the money is.
But that could also get those people hurt. You seemed really concerned about that a few minutes ago.
I was concerned about destroying the whole mining operation and the huge loss of life and profit that would occur there.
If you guys talked to him, do you think our new friend down in the laundry would be willing to try to get his ship out? I could go with him so he doesn't make off with it too easy and he won't have a gun.
He will
I'd be hesitant to
absolutely
trust him.
attempt. He will absolutely attempt to steal something if he can.
I think if we're going to go to the ship, it should be you and I, and we should use the ship as a distraction to help with the distraction.
As Van like
Constantly.
says that, he'll like take the half drunken bottle of wine like that he's been holding in his hand the whole time and like set it down on the table, and just sort of
Man.
like shrug towards Silas.
Yeah, he like his like face falls and his like knuckles will tighten around the pen that he's holding. I was saving that for a celebration.
Some other interesting news about our friend. It seems he's had bad run-ins with Mr. Neptune in the past that may serve as some leverage in the event that we need it.
So we could give him to Neptune.
We could threaten to, and that'll keep him from being a problem for me and Quinn.
It might get us in there.
Oh.
He seemed to think that he wasn't a big enough problem to warrant any sort of major financial compensation or rewards. I think the more likely solution is that he would just be killed immediately.
Wait. He said that he wasn't that valuable?
That's what he
Because-
said when we threatened to turn him into Mr. Neptune.
Yeah, because if
He
you
said
got
we
me
wouldn't
locked
get
in a
much from
laundry
it.
room threatening to turn me into somebody that I'm done wrong, I'm gonna tell you that don't bother. They're not gonna think much of me. Are you sure he's not worth that much to Mr. Neptune?
I'm
mean,
not sure, but the
Considering
more
how much money this guy is worth, a ship, and as crazy as it sounds, some Gersler 8s are not worth that much to him.
But you're talking about the things, the ship, and the whatever you said.
Right.
Those things wouldn't be valuable to him. But if he's holding his ship, that means he's got a reason that he wants to hold them. You want to catch rats, you put cheese in the traps. And they're going to come in and get it. And that's what you really want, is to get rid of the rats. Sounds to me like his ship could be the cheese trying to draw him in. I'm just saying it's worth considering that this feller might be worth more than he's saying he is.
I look uncomfortably at Quinn.
the only potential problem with trying to leverage him too directly is if we show up conveniently with this person who may or may not be valuable to him, and the moment we arrive and create this event, other things start to happen. There will be a strong association between us and the events going on. And if we deliver this person to Mr. Neptune directly, that means he will see our faces, he will know our voices, he will know that we're here. Now, I'm not saying that we don't try to leverage him or potentially even try to make some arrangement. We just need to be careful about exactly how we do so. But I do think that you might be right. The ship could be good bait. We'll have to consider that from both angles, from our own and from theirs.
What about a ruse? We don't want to show our faces, right? I know I sure as hell don't want to be seen. But we got this dude locked up in the laundry room. What if we kind of plan for that eventuality and make some kind of, I don't know. Do we even have a way to make like video recording? Is that something I would know about?
Yeah, I think so. They show in Serenity that it's at least possible.
Well, I'm thinking more about the fact on this ship, because it's been established in the past that all the security equipment was sold off.
Right.
Maybe we rebought
I would
it
say we-
after the incidents of
I think
several years ago.
we probably have at least a calm camera or something.
I'm just
You know,
picturing
right.
one of these
FaceTime on the bridge.
Yeah, I'm picturing one of these things where you like. Basically, I'm pitching this we could pretend like we got him. We're going to kill him. And get a gun to his head. We got him tied. I mean, we already got him locked up. Just in case, is that sort of what do they call it? Collateral.
But why would Neptune care that much about this guy?
Well, that's what I'm
if
saying.
we say we're going to kill him, he might just say, "Go ahead."
You might get dealt the hand of cards you need, but it doesn't stop you from putting an ace up your sleeve just in case you need it.
What if we try using his own deceptive nature to our advantage? Let's tell him that we tell the man in the laundry that we're gonna let him go. He's gonna have to get his ship and rendezvous with us for the Gerslers. I swear, by just from the time I've spent with the man, he'll cause enough of a problem on the way out that should draw some sort of commotion. And I don't know, as long as we find a way to track him and follow him, get to him before too long, we can get those Gerslers still.
How would we track him? I like the idea, but I feel like he's slimy enough he could get away.
Let's give him his gun back, but we'll put a tracker in it. He won't get rid of that.
No. It's a good idea.
Sure, we could whip up a little transponder, plant it.
By we, I'm sure you mean me.
Well, of course.
And Lily would kind of stand up and be like, "Well, fellas, I think I'm about at the limit of my strategic mind." And Lily would pull out a list and she'd be like, "Just let me know when I need to." And if you happen to look very closely, you would notice it's almost exactly what Silas's list of to-dos was. And she would write at the bottom of it, tracker, bullet sized. And then she would kind of nod and say, "Just let me know where I need to be. In the meantime, I'll be in the engine room." And she would leave.
Oh, damn it. And you got my bullet too.
And I would stop at the door and I would be Scoot and I would have him wait till he turns and I would toss it back to him, be like, "You're driving me nuts." And I would walk out of the room. Awesome.
So I think plan-wise, what we're looking for is that probably Van and Silas are going to try and take down and like silently and efficiently murder 2 lieutenants. In the meantime, Scoot's going to go into the office of the most dangerous man in the sector and steal something. And the other 2 are going to deal with the ship situation. I'm not sure.
I forgot. So yeah. What did we decide?
Yeah, the Quinn and Lily are the ones that I'm not exactly sure where they're best spent. If
Yeah,
it might
I do
help for
think-
some of them, or at least one of them, to go with Scoot, maybe.
I would
Yeah.
volunteer to go
even
with
Lily.
Scoot.
Like there might be mechanical security measures that she could help
Totally.
get Scoot through, like opening doors or turning off camera. Like something mechanically like that.
100%. And I mean, even
can
if it
take
wasn't
care
that,
of doors.
Lily would be happy to go with Scoot just because she feels
Backup.
protective over Scoot.
Mhm.
Need no damn babysitter.
I know. It's okay. Don't get upset.
I'm trying to figure out if Quinn should go. Could you go? I've got like 3 different ideas. Either I'll go with you guys, just try to help with the heist part, or try to keep an eye on the guy and try to help him like steal his ship and just make sure that he actually doesn't run away with it.
I think
I could.
I think that's the move, to be honest, because he's just 100% getting out of here if he gets the chance. And
yeah.
And if
And
we're
we
delayed or whatever because we have many sticky threads that we're in at the moment, like he'll be gone and we'll never see him again, you know?
Yeah.
And I need to I probably want to try to get in the ship and then make some noise during the escape to try to draw them away. So maybe we would plan a rendezvous and someone else is going to pilot the heck back to wherever our rendezvous is, just in case. But yeah, okay, that makes sense. So I'm going to go with him.
Big
And I'm
heist,
just gonna-
guys.
Yeah, this is iffy.
What could go wrong?
Although it feels
Excellent.
Firefly to just take on something you are absolutely not
yeah.
able to do.
Oh,
you know?
100%.
yeah.
That's
So I
why
Absolutely.
said it wouldn't
money's
be
good.
Right,
wouldn't be
like just
Firefly without a complicated plan, guaranteed to have levels of failure.
yeah, just the character just being like, all right, so I'm gonna sneak into this guarded compound and steal this ship. That's my part of, so I can cause it. Like, okay, yeah, sure, we'll get that done.
Yeah.
Surely nothing bad will happen.
No.
Could be worse. Could be
Perfect.
Donkey Town.
It's so true.
So in the like, if there's more meeting to be done, I don't want to like cut that short. But
Mhm.
there is something else that Van would want to do as people are branching out basically to go get ready. I don't know what the if there's any
Yeah.
more conversing that needs to happen before we do that.
Oh,
It sounds like
one
you should
last
be-
thing.
Oh,
I guess Quinn would ask Van if he has any blanks. Because I'd like to load the laundry prisoner's gun with blanks if we could. I want the gun to be loaded so that he feels the weight of it, but I do not want him to be able to shoot me in the back.
I don't feel like he would. Like he just has no need for them.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I think Silas does.
Yeah.
I-
You would be
if
much
Van
more
doesn't,
easier.
because
Van
Silas
would
has
not,
done
yeah.
a lot of like go to a dangerous place just to look dangerous, but not actually intend to kill anyone sort of stuff.
The blanks are like counter to Van's MO, like making noise without actually doing the thing that they need to do is like the reverse of his needed requirements.
yeah. So
Did
one of the
Silas
things
give
that you
Scoot
can
a
do.
blank?
So one of the things that you can do with Cortex is really cool. You can spend a plot point and create an asset. And so what you
there
could
you
do is choose to spend a plot point, and we can create an asset just simply called blanks. And you know the justification that you've already given works perfectly fine for why they exist, and then we can just have that going forward be a thing mechanically even.
Cool. Yeah, I'll spend a plot point to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, he'll hand them to Quinn, and you can pretend to load the gun.
Perfect.
Would
Thank you.
that work as well for like if Lily wanted to make like this tracker thing, whatever
Yes.
it ends up being?
Oh,
I could spend a plot
Mhm.
point to make sure that is convincing and good.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay.
I
I have an
So
idea.
think assets, when they're created with a plot point, I think they start as a D8.
Nice.
I believe that's the case. I'll research that and make double sure before we commit to it. But but yeah, that's good. So Jeff, if you want to launch into describing whatever it was that you had going on just after the meeting.
So I would, but somebody is not here currently. That was going to be involved in
So-
that.
That's fair. Yeah.
So,
I'll keep looking for this thing then here.
After a couple of hours, just a couple, maybe literally a couple, like 2 hours, Lily would come back and she would have this, what looks like just the chamber for like a revolver, which if you like pull it apart is removable. And she says, so I first thought it should be like a bullet, but then I thought, well, if he fires it, then we're screwed. Or if he, reloads, then we're screwed. But, and she would pull out this like for his gun, and Lily would know what it was because he pointed it at her. She would remember that pretty distinctly. She was like, this is what the chamber looks like. 6 shots. And this, he would hardly suspect would have a tracking device in it, but it does. And she would kind of like satisfyingly like put it on Quinn's, like on the dashboard or wherever Quinn happens to be.
Yeah, Quinn will get to work immediately disassembling this guy's gun and replacing it with this part, which he'll load up with the blanks and snap it shut.
And it fits perfectly. And Lily just like smiles.
Yeah, it looks identical, and the only thing he'll do is he'll kind of look at the old one and he'll just kind of scrape like just one little line along the new one. Like there seems to be some sort of like maybe like a holster like scratch or something.
Awesome.
Perfect. So yeah, I just looked it up. Assets start as a D6 whenever you spend a plot point too. I think you can spend additional plot points to kind of step that up if you want whenever you're creating it, but I'll leave that up to you.
I don't think I will. I think we're going to go with a D6,
Okay,
and that's
perfect.
plenty.
Cool. Okay, so Jeff, yeah.
Yeah. So as the meeting is wrapping up and people start going their separate ways, Scoot, before you get too far, Van will like come up and like grab you by the shoulder for a second, not like hard or violently, but just basically to like stop you from slipping away too quickly.
Just kind of can't help it but look at you very guiltily. Like, I'm sure you're about to tell me I did something wrong.
Look, the people that were sneaking in here to deal with, they're bad people, tough people. Like, imagine the worst thoughts that you've had about me or Silas. They're that kind of people. So he'll reach out and just like without asking, take the gun out of your belt or jacket or wherever you've got it stowed. And he'll fill the rest of the chamber with more than just the one bullet. Now, I don't want to hear any weird sass about it, but I'm going to teach you how to use it too. Just in case. If any of these people try to cause you problems, shoot as many times as you can.
Is that the lesson?
That's part of it. Basically, if Scoot will allow him, Van will basically try to teach Scoot how to use a gun, like beyond just point and shoot, like some of the tips that he's learned in his line of work to make it more effective.
Yeah, Scoot would 100%. I think there's, for the first, when you first load the gun and give it back to him and start talking to him about it, there's this very like hesitation, like what's the catch, like waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting for the condition. And then as you start, yeah, I would totally be down for whatever you're trying to teach him. Now, how well I learn, that's another question.
Of course, yeah, you can't become a master in a couple hours or whatever. But I think Scoot would get the sense that like Van knows what kind of people will be here working for this guy because he is that kind of people, and just a bullet in an untrained hand is not going to be enough if things go wrong.
If Mandalorian taught me anything, it's you can teach an entire village how to be warriors with a montage.
There you go. So we'll initiate shooting lesson montage scene right now.
There's at least one scene in there where I probably hit a target, and in celebration, I immediately spin around, pointing the gun at you.
Definitely. Yeah, we don't have to play at the
Perfect.
specifics, but just Van will spend some time getting Scoot's gun in order and teaching him some basics.
Awesome. That's perfect. Okay. Let's see what time. I think we're going to take our break here. So we're going to stop. We're going to take a 10-minute break. Go to the bathroom, refill your drinks, kiss your spouse, smoke them if you got them, etc., etc. So yeah, this has been incredible so far. I cannot wait to see how everybody handles the second half of what I have this evening or afternoon. And yeah, this is incredible. Thank you all so very much for bringing your A games again to this session so far. And yeah, sit tight. We will be right back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of the second episode of Firefly Stepping Stones. This is called A Snowflake's Chance. So we have just finished the big meeting. The crew has assembled and has discussed what the plan is going to be, the many branches of this plan. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to play out. But before we land on Hades and put this plan in motion, I think we once again cut to the past, where we find Silas and Van. The two of you have been playing a game of chess with one another. Where are you on the ship, and who's winning?
It's probably the last bastion of what the ship once was, which would be Silas's quarters / office. I guess. I think like a lot of the ship has become like looks a bit more industrial than it used to, and a bit more like run down. But there's one specific part where Silas lives and where he keeps all his stuff that he's tried to keep as like beautiful as possible still. Imagine there's like wood paneling over the metal and like that sort of stuff. So it's probably in there, I think. But I don't know who's winning.
I don't know either. I guess here's the question. Does Silas actually know how to play chess, or does he just have a chess set because he's a rich, smart person and that's what they do?
I think he does actually know. He did train to be like a assassin, basically. And so I think one of the things, I think chess would be part of that training to some extent, right? Like to teach basics. I don't think he's like a master or whatever, you know?
Yeah. I think Van is probably similarly, like it's clear that he has some knowledge of the game, some basic strategies, some like opening principles and like general, knowledge of the basic plans. But he's not like a grandmaster or whatever.
Yeah, I think Silas mostly learned to play chess as a means to play people, So
yeah,
the training is not about the chess; it's about the other person, right? More than anything for him.
If Jeremy can indulge the time it'll take to do it all, maybe we can do a roll and see.
Yeah,
that's perfect with me. Absolutely. Okay. So we will build some dice pools. All right. So first, we need to determine what distinction that you are going to draw from, whether or not it would be advantageous, or possibly even in this situation, it could be a hindrance.
Okay, I think for me it's going to be Exiled Noble turned Bounty Hunter again, because I think it makes sense that that's where I learned to play chess.
Sure. Okay, that's a D8. And
so
how about for?
Oh, sorry.
No, please.
I was going to say, I think for mine, my how do you want to die? I have outsmarted with a knife in my back, which I think plays like extremely well into this, where it's like
absolutely.
If I'm going down, I want it to be because I've been like bested by a superior strategic mind. And Van's like testing the waters to see if Silas is that or not.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's a D8 for Van. How about emotion? Is there emotion that is being leveraged at the game here?
I think it might be fear for Silas.
Okay.
Because I think he thinks himself very good at things. And his whole foundation in existence is built on the fact that he's better than people. And
we're playing the smart rich person's game.
Yes.
And you are, of course, a very smart and very rich person. So therefore...
Right.
So he's concerned about the idea that he could lose here.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Probably one of those situations where you like challenge somebody you don't really know to something you're really good at, and then you like play the first couple moves and it becomes very obvious of like, oh shoot, this person's
they know
they know how to play chess. Like shoot.
Yeah, he like pulls out little pouch with like his own pieces or something. I'm like, oh, thanks.
Or like plays like a couple moves of like a very famous opening that's like been like taught and explored very thoroughly, and it's like no one who doesn't know the game plays that specific sequence unless you know.
Perfect.
I think for me it's going to be probably Desire. I think Van he knows what's at stake here in terms of like bragging rights and ego damage and like just as like the power play, wanting to kind of step up and show.
Sure. Yeah, I think both of those make incredible sense. Okay. So yeah, you'll pull your die from those related emotions into your die pool. How about a roll?
I mean, Thinker, I think makes like pretty obvious
Certainly
sense.
I think for Silas, I'll go with Talker because I actually think he's, like I said, playing Van more than he's playing chess. You know, that's how he would have learned to play. So I think that's his move.
Perfect. Okay. Same as before. I think there could be relationship die added to either one of your pools if you so wish. Again, keeping in mind the tethered emotion for that relationship. So if it is the same emotion that you called upon that relationship is based on, you can double your relationship die for this dice pool.
Ooh, mine is Desire is in fact my emotion for Silas.
Okay.
And mine is Fear.
Wow. Okay. Perfect.
Didn't plan that.
Okay. I don't know about values in this situation. I don't know that there's a lot of argument for that necessarily. Maybe power
glory or something.
Ooh, power or glory. Okay. Yeah, I'm open to that.
Yeah. I think power makes sense because it is kind of like, at least for Van, like very much like I'm trying to cement myself as like the smart, the smarter person, basically. Right. Like you may have been trained in all of your like rich person stuff, but like I'm the better mind, for this sort of thing.
Yeah,
I think my power is better, but I think I'm gonna go with glory because I think that's what he feels about it. It's like this is his chance to get one over and be like, well, now you know who's boss, sort of,
Yeah, I absolutely think that applies. And then, interestingly enough, the chess set I think is actually one of your signature assets, isn't it, Silas?
Yeah, it's my asset. Yeah.
Okay, so I think even that will apply to your die roll. So
Weighted
I know there's not really I mean there's not really like a home turf with chess, but
the bishops both look suspiciously like the queen, and even if no it was the queen.
Yep. Maybe it's just you've played so much with this that there's no distraction coming from the way the pieces look or something like that. You can focus entirely on the person sitting across from you or whatever.
Yeah, the visualization in your brain of the next 15 moves is perfect because every chip on every piece.
Yeah. Okay. So now that you both have your pools assembled, let's get those rolls.
Okay, I have maybe I'll use. All right, I have a 16 with a D8 for my effect.
Okay. No hitches?
Yeah, I have a hitch on one of my D6s.
One hitches. Okay. Yeah.
And that's a plot point, right?
It is. Mm-hmm.
Okay, sweet.
So sorry, it's you pick just two dice to add up?
Correct. Yeah. Okay. 2 will form your total, and a third will form your effect die.
Okay. Well, I have a D12 for my effect die, but I got 14 on my 2 rolls.
Okay. So essentially the way that will translate is that like Silas is winning, but he doesn't have you like beaten yet. It's not like a foregone conclusion. You are just you're on the ropes, so to speak. So the two of you are kind of sitting in this office, playing this game. and it's a close enough game that I think both of you are kind of like in it, right? And Silas, you realize, like, as you're paying attention, you know, he makes a move that you didn't expect, something that kind of caught you off guard for just a second, got out of a trap that you had set for him, something, and you kind of like do that kind of frustrated thing where you kind of like lean back in your chair, and just out of like the peripheral vision of your eye, you see a panel in your office like shift closed, like into place, like a piece of the wall.
He'll lean forward and look at Vance. And they probably haven't made a lot of eye contact so far. Like, Silas does a lot of shit talking during the game. That's how he's winning, I think. It's not because he's better at chess. It's because he's like, ooh, really? Ooh. That sort of stuff. But he'll like look at him, and then he'll like glance in the direction of the panel that moved.
Yeah, I imagine Van's just been the opposite, where like he hasn't said a single word the entire game. He's just been looking at the board, not at Silas, just like only at the pieces. And then we'll like see you like, I think, like look past him a little bit, and maybe like a flash of like surprise or intrigue or something. And like it's not like Van's just made a move and he sees you like react to the move. He's just like sitting there thinking when suddenly you do that. And I think for a moment he'll just sort of like look at you like, what stupid trick are you trying to pull now? But eventually he'll just like,
he'll look down and say, rook to A7, which is impossible on the board that we've got at the moment. But like a strong sort of move in that direction or whatever, you know, and use the chess to sort of implant our 3D space on top of it so that you can sort of place where he's looking.
Bishop to B5, he'll say, and just sort of like lean back away, like looking up from the board, I think for the first time, and just sort of like glancing, just trying to like see if he can pinpoint exactly what you were looking at.
What is something in Silas's office, Jeff, that Van has always kind of admired? Something small.
I think it would be something like very, like the least Silas thing in the office. Like it's just something that's very like simple, not particularly extravagant, but still like with some sort of like aesthetic charm to it. I'm not sure like exactly off the top of my head, like what sort of,
yeah,
like
maybe he has some sort of like fancy, slightly futuristic, like one of those desk, you know, like the balls that go like a more futuristic one, and it's like very expensive, or like for Van very expensive, you know.
Yeah, maybe it has like little like mock planets that like actually like orbit.
Yeah, and it's like magnetic, so it keeps the orbit or something. Yeah,
there's just something like like transfixing in a very simple, like lizard brainy sort of way about just like sitting and looking at it. It's like one of the very few like simple pleasures that like Van like can have with those sorts of things. So yeah, I think he glanced over at it while he's looking around.
Well, you realize that it's not there. That it's missing. And kind of when you look in the direction that Silas like indicated with this impossible bold move that he just recommended, you can see one of the planets like coming to a stop, like it was rolling on the floor, and it just like comes to a stop at like a low point in the floor, just in front of this wall panel.
Yeah, I think Silas, you would see on Van's face like immediately like some sort of like surprised look. Like I don't think he would, like he's been like hiding his face as best as he can from you throughout the course of this whole game, and now very suddenly like that facade protective like measure has dropped, and he'll just like look genuinely confused.
Silas will say, king to e6, knight to b4, and he'll get up from the table, and he's given Silas directions on where on the ship to go, and he'll get up and go to where, like, you know, an obvious egress from in the vents, and get Van to cover the other one.
Yeah, Van will like get up from the board with Silas as he does so, and will like call out knight to d6. And like move over and to wherever he has been instructed.
Yeah, I think they keep calling directions to each other, sort of like adjusting as they hear maybe now noises and stuff, and maybe we can see like dirty fingerprints on some of the panels that have been closed, like on the outside and that sort of stuff, and they start to like, you know, like two lions like descending on some prey.
Scoot, how is it and who is it that these people, the people on this ship, finally catch you?
I think after sneaking back into the wall in Silas's office, I have no idea what all this nonsense, letters, numbers, and all this stuff is, but I can clearly hear them moving closer and closer. And I can only take solace in the fact that I am much smaller than both of them or either of them. And I use that to sort of wriggle in to an area that's not even supposed to be any kind of access, but it kind of connects to another passageway. And I'm ducking as quick as I can out of where they are and thinking, I just got to get somewhere else. And I think what I do is I duck into the room, this tiny room that would later be my room on the ship, but right now it's probably just some kind of overflow. And behind some crates, I've got this little nest with some blankets I stole, and I'm coming out of the air vent, which is right by this, and dropping down. Before I drop in, I drop this magnetic orrery down into the blankets, and there's a little soft clinking sound as it hits up against a couple of wrenches and a gasket set. There's some crumpled up paper, a coffee thermos, some military medals, all kind of tucked into this place. And I do that thing where you kind of like roll over on your stomach and lower down feet first. And I turn around and Quinn is in the room for whatever reason. He was looking for something. I turn around and I'm looking right in Quinn's face.
So that's why this air vent's been rattling. And he'll just grab you by like the scruff of the neck, like, and just haul you out and just starts dragging you to the galley.
Anybody anywhere in the ship is probably just hearing this, get off of me, let go. God. And then just a flail of arms and legs and cussing.
I immediately follow this sound.
Yeah, he'll send out over the radio, I think I found our ghost.
I imagine whether it's Van or Silas, whichever one gets there first, one of them does like a sort of like nerve pinch or like karate chop and just like knocks out Scoot. Like,
wow.
Because they don't know he's not dangerous, right? And I think that would be the first response. So I don't know if it's Van or Silas.
Get off it!
Silas, holy shit, he's just a kid.
He is
I had it under control.
He was flailing. He could have had a weapon. And he's an invader on my ship.
I would pick up Scoot's dumb foot that has Converse All Stars on. I'm like, yeah, seems real dangerous. And I just drop his dumb foot.
You cannot be too careful. I have enemies the likes of which you cannot comprehend.
Van, like completely like cold, like completely dead serious, will say, when I was his age, I was already working.
Jeez. And Lily would look down and see that he's about 15 and considers saying something about when she was his age, but remembers what was happening when she was his age and just kind of doesn't say anything.
All right, before anyone says it, I'm just telling you right now, we're not spacing a kid. And they'll look straight at Van off this. Like we'll probably drop him off at the next port. When he comes to, I'll talk to him. I would like it if you two could remain outside the galley while I talk to him.
Can I stay? I want to see if he has my gasket set.
He does. They're in storage room A6.
Oh, great.
We're gonna have to clean the whole
my
thing
gasket
out.
set.
One of
I
my
have
good
some
bottles of
questions.
wine. You hear Silas from in the room, and he's like like an empty bottle of wine. He's like, "Damn it!"
Scoot's got a Kool-Aid mustache around his lips from the
God.
wine.
Poor kid. Oh,
I would like to, and if this is one of those things where I need to spend a plot point, I'm cool with that. That this is not the first time Scoot's been pinched and somebody's tried to knock him out. I think Silas wasn't as effective as he thought he was in knocking Scoot out. And every once in a while, I'm just peering through my eyelids, trying to figure out when is my option to make an escape. And probably around the time that I just imagine this all rapid fire, that Silas is like, I've got enemies you don't know about. And Van's like, I was working when I was his age. And Quinn's like, we're not spacing a kid. And at that point, I just immediately, unfortunately, Lily, you're holding my foot. So I probably kick out at you.
yeah.
And I just do that scrabble backwards and also, unfortunately, right into a corner. And it's just this wide-eyed, feral, dirty kid. And just looking around at everybody. You can't space me, and you can't. Don't send me back. I don't want to go back to
kid?
I don't want to go back to Donkey Town.
What's your name, kid?
It's, Roger.
No,
Your
what's your
actual
real
name.
What's your real name, kid?
My name's Scoop.
I'm more inclined to believe Roger. Lily looks over at Quinn.
Well, Scoot, would you like some soup?
Is some kind of a trick? Is it soup, real soup, or is it like, oh, here's some bowl of soup? It's in the airlock.
No, it's terrible soup. It's
not good.
awful soup. It's pretty unpleasant, but it's got a kind of a protein miso.
I think you're seeing
Quinn
a
just
very
will turn.
Pavlovian response. I mean, there's just drool when you're talking about this food that's not like scrounged crackers and pilfered wine.
Yeah, Quinn will just start
All of which
walking
is
towards the
Silas's.
galley. Come on, kid, this way.
I am going to scoot along the wall, keeping Silas and Van in my eyesight until I can get closer to the door that Quinn's heading out, and then I will very quickly follow Quinn.
I would look over at Van and Silas as we are left alone in this room. Be like, I just really want to know where he has my gasket set. That's all I care about.
Perfect. We cut
One more thing.
back. Please.
I like the idea that they never finished the chess game. It like never got
No,
finished.
And they argue
And-
about who
Yeah,
would've
yeah,
won.
Nice.
and they've never found time to finish it since, and it's always been up in the air.
Or like it's somewhere along the
Perfect.
lines, like some turbulence or space turbulence
bumped.
happened, or
Yeah.
like trying to
Shook
get out
the
of a
table.
planet. They had to like pull some maneuver, and like the pieces got knocked
The
over.
first sign they needed a new Jeffries mount. They effed
And they both have
up.
They both have a different memory of where all the pieces were at the
your,
end.
your rook
It's
was
like-
definitely over on this rank. No, I moved it over here when I put your king in check from this.
They start confusing the actual moves from the game from the
ones
fake
Silas
moves
started
that they were
saying,
calling.
yeah.
The irony is Scoot's the only one that actually knows how the board was arranged. Nobody knows it. He has an eidetic memory, and even Scoot doesn't know what that is, so he doesn't know it's anything important.
Perfection. I love it. Okay. We're going to cut now back to the present as you are kind of starting to approach Hades now. You can see you've gotten all of the warnings that would go off on board a ship like this for approaching an asteroid field, and kind of looking out the windows of the Heck, you can see. Sorry, hang on. Boop, boop, boop. You can see. There we go. These asteroids that kind of encircle the moon of Hades, and you can see the ships and the mining gear that's kind of floating amongst them, extracting this HTX-20 from all of these asteroids. We cut to the bridge where probably Quinn, at least, if not potentially maybe Silas as well, is finishing up a wave with the stem tower, the stem platform where you're going to have to land on world if you're coming down.
Yeah, this is the stem platform on Hades. Tonk.
Heck is fine.
Oh, thank God. The Heck. You've been cleared for landing, so whenever you're ready, you can just begin your descent.
All right. Thank you very much, Tower. We will be on our way down now. If you are a fan of art, I would suggest watching what's about to happen.
Right.
The
You really
wave
have to
ends.
start. He'll lean into Quinn and say, "You really have to start saying the proper name of the ship. I told you how to pronounce it several times."
Yeah. Heck.
All right, and as you kind of slip into atmosphere of the moon of Hades, begin kind of descending down towards the surface of the moon itself. Quinn, you're having to switch over all kinds of different switches and toggles and things like that to adjust from space flight to like atmospheric flight, and kind of almost like switch over to manual kind of thing. And as you are kind of breaching through atmosphere and you can get a better look at the features of this moon, you can see that everything that you heard about this place is accurate. It is almost a completely featureless ball of rock. It is very boring looking. There's not any real vegetation to speak of whatsoever. And there's hardly even any mountain ranges. And the mountain ranges that are present are very low in altitude. So you've been directed to this particular tower that kind of juts up on a spot of land that is kind of sticking up out of a crevice. And this is the STEM platform, the Space Transport Extraction and Mooring. And you know that you're going to have to basically park here at a platform. And if anybody will be going into the actual town of Shiluo, then they're going to have to do so on these vehicles that are known as Mustangs. Effectively, these are more or less single passenger vehicles that are hovercraft, They could take a second rider, but only if there's like no cargo that they're hauling at all. That it will be about a half-hour ride from the platform to the town itself. So as you're coming in and you're going to be docking on the platform, what do we see everybody getting up to? How is the preparation coming?
Silas has put on his quote unquote work clothes. And I think this would be something he had from what he would have been wearing when he left and ran, because it's one of his more valuable possessions. It's like a sort of like body glove that he would have worn for assassination stuff, that he would have been trained in and stuff. Maybe it's like slightly bullet resistant or something, or like doesn't rustle when it moves. He'll wear that under normal clothes so he doesn't look like a psychopath. And then he'll check for the 12th time his heavily customized dueling pistol. That's one of his assets. It's called the Answerer, and he'll like check it again to make sure it all works and everything is good, and sort of obsessively, because he doesn't do a lot of this anymore, this kind of work, and so I think he's a little bit nervous about that.
Conversely, Scoot is putting on what looks very similar to what he was wearing when he was caught, discovered however long ago. Kind of slightly dirty, very drab looking clothes that almost look like they're the same color. Everything's just a slightly different shade of gray or green or brown, and just a loose enough fitting jacket to conceal where he's got the revolver tucked in, but he's also got his loose sort of, kind of not like a full trench coat. It's a little bit longer, but it's got several inside pockets. But the goal is to blend in. This is how Scoot's used to blending into the spaceport riffraff and just not sticking out.
There is,
and also
loud
would
music.
probably start laughing loudly when he sees Silas in his
in his body sock.
body.
Amazing. There's loud music happening in the engine room. Lily is just sort of has like she has her gun that she makes sure is loaded, puts it in the back of her pants, and very much like Scoot, isn't dressing any particular way. She just has her coveralls on, and that's good enough. That's what she's comfortable in. She figures being comfortable in these situations is as big a strength as anything. And she doesn't really bring much of anything with her, other than like her communicator, maybe a little bit of money. But other than that, her gun, and that's it.
Yeah, Van would stow a handgun on one side. He'd take his knife, the killing key that he carries around, and strap it as well. And then he would move over to like a large sniper rifle, basically, that he had from back when he worked as his former employment, and would also strap that on to his back, just in case we need some more heavy arms. He would want to be prepared for that as well.
Quinn would probably go to the laundry to get our guest situated and let him know as much as he needed to know about the plan. That we were, as far as he needs to know, our plan is that we are going to help him return to his ship and then rendezvous with the Heck somewhere and exchange the Gerslers.
So you're saying we're going to get the border rollback, and then I'm going to meet you guys at the rendezvous point, and we'll make the exchange there. Like, are you going to pay off Neptune? Or are you going to We gonna steal the ship?
You and I are gonna go liberate the ship from his dockyard together, and we're gonna do it as quietly as we can. And then we're gonna get off world together. I'm gonna come with you just to make sure that things don't get that you don't believe things to be yours that are not anymore.
Okay, so you gotta ride on. You're riding on my ship then. Okay.
To the rendezvous.
To the rendezvous, right? Okay, just to let you know, full disclosure and all that. I don't have a laundry room, so
that's no problem.
All right. Okay, so he kind of claps his hands together. My gun.
All right, and he's gonna pull it out of his pocket and hold it out, butt first towards him. I'm trusting you with this. I'm giving you a chance. Please don't fuck this up. And he'll hand it to him.
Yeah. I've done this kind of thing tons of times. Everything's fine.
Let's not kill anyone or make any noise if we don't have to, okay?
Right. Yeah, I understand. Yeah, super quiet, low key. I've got it.
He'll just kind of shake his head like, oh God, this is a terrible idea. All right, let's get going.
All right. So you dock at the STEM platform and are able to disembark. There's somebody waiting that'll hook up a fuel lines to refuel you and those kinds of kind of routine maintenance things that you kind of pay for as like a general docking fee type situation. Once that's all settled, you're effectively allowed to go, more or less, wherever you'd like. This is not a lavish spaceport. There's not a lot of stuff to do here or things to find here. It looks like the majority of the trade and commerce would probably take place in the town. This is basically just a spaceport, like just platforms for ships, and the people that kind of work the jobs that surround the ships themselves. So, where are you headed? What are we tackling first here?
Quinn wants to wait with this guy until everyone else is kind of on their way, so that if we do cause some trouble, we're not fucking anyone else.
Okay.
Lily would go with Scoot and be like, well, I guess we gotta get to town. Probably need a Mustang. Do you know how to drive one?
I know how to drive anything
Is he bullshitting?
like this.
Because Lily kind of knows if it's
confidence. Whether or not he actually knows, he's confident that he knows how to do it, or that he can figure it out.
So I'll be driving and you'll be talking our way into a good price. Let's go. And Lily would kind of like, I imagine we're all sort of just like at the top of the ramp kind of, and Lily would push Scoot down, send him stumbling a little bit, and then look around at the others and be like, good luck. See you back here. And sort of like kind of feel like the small of her back just to make sure her gun is where she put it. And it is. So she walks after Scoot.
Okay. So it sounds like the two of you are planning on renting just a single Mustang, effectively, for the two of you. Okay. And then Quinn is hanging back at the Heck for the time being with Yasukashi. and Van and Silas. What are the two of you doing?
We're trying to find these two big boys, and I guess the town is the best place to go for that too. Still working on how we're going to separate them from the gang of like 20 plus toughs that hang out with them. But I think for now it's information gathering.
Okay. So are the two of you renting two separate Mustangs, or are y'all doubling up?
I think two, so it doesn't look like we're all together.
I love to imagine,
Yeah.
though, the two of them riding on one and one of them riding behind the other, forced to hold onto the waist. Like, that is adorable, I think.
That would be funny.
If we're lucky, one will get destroyed on the way back. And they'll be forced.
Okay, perfect. So it sounds like then, just to clarify, Quinn is staying with Kashi at the STEM platform. The other four of you are headed to Shilio. Yeah? Cool. Okay. So since Quinn is kind of holding off and waiting, we'll come back to that in just a moment.
Yeah, he would just be grilling the other guy the whole time about every aspect of his ship, of the border roll.
Okay, sure. And as long as you're talking about his ship, he's like more than happy to tell you everything that you want to know. Maybe not everything. You get the feeling that there's probably some tricks up there, up her sleeve, up his sleeve, whatever you want to call it, that he may not be letting on, but he's definitely happy to talk about his ship. Yeah, and you might even find out that despite the fact that he's a brown coat and you were Alliance, that the two of you might actually have more in common than you might like to admit. He's very much kind of a brash pilot, kind of the same thing. Okay, so we cut to the other four of you arriving in the town of Shilio by Mustang. The town is very much kind of like a frontier town. There's multiple different ways in and out of town. Everything's built off of like one or two cross streets, and that's it. Probably a total of maybe a dozen buildings in the entire thing. Most of it looks fairly ramshackled, put together. Some of it looks like it's been put together out of old spaceship parts that have been like repurposed. You can see in atmosphere the belt of asteroids that kind of stretches from one horizon to the other, and there's really not much else to see on the horizons here because this world is so flat. You can barely see a couple of mountains here and there in the distance. So as you're arriving in town, you can see the dominant building is this place called the Shady Lady. And it's very much what you would expect to see from, a frontier town place like this. There are, men and women who are hanging out on the balconies that are almost like a billboard. They're advertising the goods that are likely sold within. You also see that there is a general store, that there is a food store, and a sheriff's office connected to a jail. So where is it that the four of you are headed? Or if you're going separate places, then where is it that each of you are going?
At this point, after getting us to this town, I would kind of like hop off the Mustang and I would defer to Scoot. Like, well, and Scoot is quite a bit shorter than Lily. She would just sort of stand back and fold her arms and be like, guess it's your show now, boss.
When you say that, I make a big show to you, not presenting outwardly ostentatiously, but of furrowing my brow, hands on my hips, and just surveying everything around. And then I crack my knuckles. And I want to look for the less thans, the people that kind of blend in. They're clearly not, I'm thinking like the town drunk, or somebody that's running one of the smaller shops, or people that are just lingering around. Anybody that I would recognize as the lower end of the social system, that I can sort of cozy up to and either listen in on or directly start to ask some leading questions about who runs this place, and just trying to figure out where this boss's headquarters is.
Okay. So you can see, kind of as you pulled into town, that there's a place called Barnaby Co. and Sons, I think is what it's called. Barnaby's and Sons. Barnaby's and Son General Store. And you can see that behind the counter, it must be the and Son part. There's a young man who's probably around Scoot's age, who seems to be kind of minding the store.
I look back at Lily, and I say, give me some credits.
Why?
Because if I walk into his store without any credits, he's going to kick me out of there. I need to I got to buy something.
I dig into my pocket and I give Scoot 10 credits.
Fine, this'll do.
I don't have any more.
I said it'll do. And I kind of shh, I'm working. And I take the credits and head in and just start kind of looking around the shop and looking at what all kind of things they sell here in this store. For a moment, just kind of keeping an eye on him and seeing if he notices me or how he notices me as I'm looking around.
So you kind of walk in. It's the kind of thing where you have to step up from, like the dirt road, the dirt street, onto like this wooden, platform in front of the store. Open the door. The whole thing's built up and has, a wooden floor that echoes as you're walking in. There's a little, ding bell kind of on a spring as you kind of like push the door open. And he definitely looks up and notices you and kind of does a double take. He's with another customer, and he kind of looks up to see you enter the store and goes back to doing, and then he kind of takes a second look, very clearly realizing that you're new, and maybe the fact that you're so young. He goes back to helping this latest customer who's buying what look like kind of normal goods, like a bag of sugar and, a couple of things, and a bucket of nails, just kind of the general store type things that he's helping them with this order. They finish up. He calls them by name, tells them to have a good day, and that customer turns to leave. Kind of, begging your excuse and making their way around you to leave. Whenever they've left, he kind of looks up and kind of cleans his hands on a rag for just a moment, and you can see again he's a younger man who's got blonde hair, he's clean shaven, if he is able to grow anything at all, and he has the look of a dirt sider, somebody who would live on a frontier moon like this, but he's dressed in what is likely his finest, to put on a good front here at the store. And he says, can I help you?
Well, I hope you can. And I kind of pick something up and kind of like I'm just looking through stuff, and what I'm looking for you got any kind of what kind of sweets you got? See, my sister's outside, and mom, dad, they got some business they're tending to here, and my uncles are taking care of some other stuff, and they just left me with a pocket full of credits and said to go wild in the general store. So I figured I'd pick us up something we don't normally get.
I see. Whenever you mentioned a sister, his eyes absolutely went to the window. You get the impression that there's probably not a lot of choices for a young man to apply his affections on this moon. And seeing that you're
Lily just out the window in profile,
right, and seeing that you're roughly his age, the assumption you can tell is probably that your sister must not be too far out from your age as well. But when you mention a pocket full of credits that you're able to just go wild with and spend, his attention is snapped back. Of course. Look, we've got some hard candies over here. We've got some taffy over here. We've got a bunch of different flavors, and by a bunch he means like 4. Well,
Let me ask you this. Let's say you was let's say you was trying to get the interest of my sister out there. Kind of clocking the way he was looking out there. Let's just say you were going to buy something for her. What would you recommend? Like maybe you're sweet on her, and you think she might be sweet on you, and you want to make sure that she knows your affections. What would you recommend?
I don't know if I'm comfortable with where this is headed. I don't know.
Friendly
I don't know
conversation.
Your sister. I don't know. What kind of things does your sister like? Chocolate, maybe.
Chocolate's always a good bet. We don't get a whole lot of that when we're planet side, especially in a lot of places we've been. Chocolate don't last long. You know what I'm saying?
Sure, of course. Well, we have a few different kinds of chocolate. If she's into that kind of thing, is she?
No.
Oh,
we're going to be here for a little bit.
Okay.
Which means my sister's going to be here for a little bit.
Well,
she's single, you know.
He kind of like goes back and wipes his hands again on the rag. Well, maybe I don't have any flowers, but I don't know.
Flowers. Yeah. You know what? Maybe that's something you would get. I'm just looking for some kind of candy or something that she would enjoy. Well, like I said, we're going to be here waiting while my family's taking care of some, they're supposed to be seeing somebody, somebody who's kind of like the boss of this place. And
your uncles?
I don't know who they're talking about, but
your uncles are meeting with Mr. Neptune.
Neptune. That sounds familiar. Is that close by here where his offices are? I'm just trying to figure out how long they're going to be. If they're going to be, if they got to travel a ways, that means my sister Rachel and I might be sitting here for a while.
Rachel. He kind of says quietly to himself. But whenever you mention where his offices are, his eyes again dart to the window. But this time they don't dart to Lily. They dart to the building across the street. Which is very clearly marked as the Shady Lady.
At this point, Lily will have lost patience, and she comes in with a rather more violent ding-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling-a-ling of the bell. It would be like, Roger, you're taking a while, boy.
Afternoon, Miss Rachel. He says, kind of very nervously from behind the counter.
And I kind of
How do you
just
do?
give a wink to Lily, and I say, Rachel, I was just getting to know, you know what? I didn't quite catch what your name was.
Clay Barnaby.
Rachel, this is Clay Barnaby of
Clay?
the and son of Barnaby's and son, I imagine here. And I was trying to get you some chocolate while we have to wait for mom and dad. And
we have other candies too, if chocolate isn't something that you prefer.
Well, I do love chocolate. I just wanted to make sure everything was fine in here with my brother, Roger. We are on a pretty tight schedule.
Well, it sounds like our uncles are going to be pretty busy across the street with their meeting with Mr. Neptune, and we're going to have quite a while to wait.
Well, all right then. Suppose I will just go wait back out on the porch. Clay, nice to know you. Roger,
Miss
whenever
Rachel,
you are ready to be done with your business. And I just kind of like walk back out the door, kind of disgruntled. And Lily would sit like on a bench and just kind of like cross her legs and like cross her arms and just get comfortable.
And I'm just clocking Clay to see how he's watching Rachel.
Yeah, I mean, he's
Rachel, Lily.
Yeah, right.
Either one at this point.
Yeah, he's that kind of smitten that like a teenage boy gets with a early 20-something-year-old girl. Whenever they have like 24 people that they know in their entire existence. He definitely kind of watches her leave, and almost completely just forgets that you're in the store for a moment. Well, guess I got stuff around here I need to do. He kind of like starts trying to look for things to get busy himself.
Listen, Clay.
Hey,
yes,
Roger, right?
Yeah, Roger. Just why don't you give me and I'm gonna pull 5 of the 10 credits that Lily gave me. Give me a mixture of sweets that you think, if you were picking them out for Rachel, what would you pick out for whatever I can get for this? And I slide the 5 credits onto the counter.
Oh, of course, yes. And he kind of turns around and he starts, getting the packaging ready to like package up these different sweets. And he like grabs and puts back different things like several times, like trying to like pick this arrangement that he thinks is going to be, quote unquote, the right choice. Definitely taking too long. But he go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and as he's taking a little while to do it, I just tell him, you know what? I'm gonna go out and talk to Rachel. You give it a few minutes, then you go ahead and you bring those out to her.
All right. I will. And thanks.
Whatever's
Roger.
left over, you keep for yourself.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
And I'm gonna head outside and immediately go to Lily. And the first thing I say is, Clay really likes you.
No shit, Scoot. What the hell did you say to him?
Look, I got out of him that this Mr. Neptune's office is across the street at the Shady Lady. Great. And I glance up to the balcony where there's the billboard of people, the men and women, and it's not really clear who Scoot's looking at, but just kind of with the way a 15-year-old would look at a place like that. It looks like we're gonna have to go to the Shady Lady. And
Scoot, oh my god!
The
first thing you're whoring me out to a 16-year-old boy. What do you want me to do in the Shady Lady?
I told him you might be injured. Nobody said anything about whoring anybody out. I say that really.
What is he doing in there right now? You tell me.
Professional. He's getting you some candy, but he's going to come out here. He's going to come out here in a few minutes, and you're not going to be here.
Where am I going to be?
I smile and I look across the street and I start walking towards the Shady Lady.
Scoot. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do in there?
You're supposed to keep an eye on me and us while we figure out what's going on in there. Let's just go in and get a drink.
Okay. All right. I'll go right now. Just let him down gently. All right. Tell him
No, you and I are both going in. He's going to come out here and you're just not going to be here. That's going to pique his interest even more.
I don't want that. I'll go across.
Well, then the longer you stay in here arguing with me about it, the more likely it is it's going to come out.
And I
You can hear him,
across
his feet like
I
coming
walk
across the
street
floorboards.
very quickly.
This whole time I'm like moving across the causeway towards the shady lady. Like, I'm going.
Mules,
you can stay there if you want.
There's like mules trying to cross the street, like having to go around Scoot. I think like we see like the two of them like still arguing as they like enter the front door of the shady lady, and like as the door to the shady lady like does the wappa wappa close, like the general store door opens and Clay steps out onto the thing with the candy like in hand and looks. Shit. Okay, perfect. All right, so while Scoot and Lily were up to that, how about Van and Silas? What are the two of you up to?
So Van used to be a bounty hunter / murderer. So I think one of his best skills is finding people who don't want to be found necessarily. So I think he'll sort of be looking for clues as to how to find these two guys. Where do they hang out? What do you know about them? Like, I don't know how he wants to go about that. I have two sort of theories. One is that he acts like a rich guy looking to hire protection and something like that, or to hire someone for wet work. The other is just that he blends in, talks, buys drinks for people, etc., etc. I think it's probably the better way. Less attention, but that sort of thing. So like going from bar to bar, sort of finding out what he can about the two and where they often frequent, I guess,
Would we have been able to get any sort of like physical descriptions of these guys from our crewmate?
Yeah,
or
there's
would he not know that much.
He might not be able to tell you, but you could probably at least bring it up on so the internet effectively in the Firefly verse is called the Cortex. So you could search the Cortex and probably find a picture or a description of both of these individuals. And again, just floating that out there, that you can also in Cortex Prime spend a plot point to establish a relationship with a character if you wish to. It would be temporary until the end of the session, and then you could choose to use growth to make it permanent if you wanted to. Just in case you wanted to do determine that you had a past with either of these gentlemen.
Ooh, I might spend a plot point to have a past with Doc. I mean, as a sniper, I think he might have also been a murderer for hire. He might even be in the guild or something. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't know why, but I think there's a difference between the guild that Silas was in and then the Knife Key sort of organization that Van is in. Similar but different. Like one is like kills you when you're home very quietly and then leaves. And the other one is like shoots you in the street or whatever, right? Like it's the same job, but it's like different approaches, kind of thing. But maybe one of them, he would have had some run-ins in the past, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so if you'd like, you can spend a plot point to establish a relationship with Doc Scopes.
It's a D6, right? When you establish it.
Yeah, it'll be a D6. Okay, so Doc Scopes.
Doc because he's a doctor, and I figured that puts him in higher society than the other guy.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, his full name is. I had it.
Oh, look at this guy.
There we go. Dr. Morgan Doc Scopes Chapman. He is like holds a number of records for like long distance shooting kind of thing. He's not a difficult person to find information on at all. Very public, but he does also moonlight as not just a trick shot. he's definitely got his hands in some shady pies. Yeah, and you would probably also know that not only is he a crack shot, that he's also very intelligent. And he's also very fond of gadgets, like, you know, kind of cutting edge things that either he tinkers on himself or that he, you know, finds and collects and picks up and incorporates into his arsenal. And however it is that you know Doc Scopes, I would say that you would think that a good place to check might actually be the sheriff's office.
Yeah, that makes sense. Maybe we met at a trick shooting competition. I think that before Silas knew what he was going to be doing, he tried a lot of things, all the skills he was good at, to see which one of them would make him money. Trick shooting wasn't it, for sure. But I think he would have like gone to one of these and just been like totally outclassed by Doc, and it made an impression. So he'll say as much to Van, then he'll say, if this guy's anywhere, it's going to be the sheriff's office.
Should we both tag along there, or you want me to split up and see if I can?
I think it's best to stick together. These guys are dangerous. We don't leave anything to chance.
Yep, Van will just nod.
All right. So it sounds like you're headed to the sheriff's station. Okay. So you walk in, you know, it's the same kind of thing. You step out of the dirt street up onto kind of the wooden plank platform in front of the building porch, and you can see on the outside there's, you know, wanted posters, you know, that are kind of all plastered over like a bulletin board. And you can hear voices inside talking, and whenever you step inside, you see indeed Doc Scopes is seated in a chair with his boots kind of up, crossed on the corner of a desk, and behind the desk is seated the sheriff of Shilio. This man's name is Jebediah Roth. He also is known as Silvershot in certain circles. Also, an individual that looks like he's exactly, you know, he belongs exactly where he is. He definitely looks like he's the possibly takes no gruff kind of frontier sheriff, what you might expect to find on a moon like Hades. But as you walk in, the sheriff kind of looks up at you. Each one of them has like a glass of, you know, bourbon or something in their hands. And he looks up. Can I help you?
Sorry, maybe I missed it. Is the Doc here as well?
He is. He's seated across from
him. Silas will say, "Wow, I'm sorry. I'm a little starstruck."
Yeah, the sheriff kind of looks confused for a second, and then he realizes, nods. You must be here to see Doc.
Yes, that's right, Sheriff. I saw him a couple of years ago, somewhere near Donkey Town, and this guy just shot in a way that I couldn't believe. And for years it was difficult to catch him again. But then I was traveling by and I heard he was here, and I thought this was a good chance to shake the hand of the best shot I ever saw.
He kind of leans back a little further in the chair that he's in, and he says, "You see what I'm saying, Sheriff? Every moon is the same story." Well, he kind of like knocks back this bourbon, sets the glass on the sheriff's desk. You looking for a handshake? You want an autograph or maybe a picture?
Fantastic. A picture even would be wow. That would be great. Yeah. Would you mind?
No, not at all. have to appeal to the adoring fans. And he kind of gives a look to the sheriff again. Here. He kind of like reaches his hand out for your data pad. For the autograph, of course.
Oh, yeah, sure thing. And he'll like reach around in the pockets and hand him something to sign.
He'll
hand him paper, actually, instead of a data pad, because Silas carries paper.
Sure.
And he also wants Doc to think he's rich.
Yeah, it certainly seems to do the trick. He takes a look at this paper. Well, I'll be damned. I haven't seen one of these in a while. He kind of like looks around for like a writing utensil, which again would be, almost non-existent.
Excuse me. And he'll pull out like a fountain pen.
Well, bowl me over. He takes the pen. I gotta remember how to use one of these things. Let's see here. Kind of like takes over part of the sheriff's desk, kind of scrawls this very doctor-looking, signature, where it's like 2 letters that you might be able to recognize, and the rest is just like a wave pattern. Kind of signs it and hands it back to you. There you go, young man. What did you say your name was?
I didn't. It's Ezekiel Wright, sir.
Ezekiel Wright. You said we met before somewhere?
Well, I don't know where we met, but I saw you shoot at a competition, and it was stunning.
Right. I see. Well, I appreciate that. It's very kind of you. And your friend he kind of like looks past you. Would you also like a signature?
Oh, no, thank you. I'm just with him.
Understood. Say no more. All right. Well, let's get this picture taken.
Is there anywhere we could take it, Doc, that's a little bit more impressive than this? No offense, Sheriff, than this dark office. There's some stunning scenery outside.
If you say so. The sheriff kind of like holds his hand up, like you're not offending him at all. Doc says, sure. Maybe in front of the shady lady.
The shady lady. And he'll turn and speak in a different language to Van, who probably has no idea what he's saying. Silas speaks, like 6 languages because he was raised super rich. So he'll turn and say something in, I don't know, German, maybe. And he'll say, "Oh, the shady lady, how impressive. This must be one of these like rural places that I've heard so much about and read so much about. It might even be a brothel," he'll say excitedly. And then he'll turn back and say, "That sounds wonderful, yes."
In German, he responds, "It is a brothel. That's actually where I work, actually."
Oh, am I glad I didn't give Van some kind of secret message. It's like, all right, sick, you shoot him when we get in front. And he'll say, "Oh, wonderful, yes. Whenever you're ready, we can wait if you're busy."
No. I think the good sheriff and I are finished up, at least for the time being. I'll be back, Sheriff. He kind of like tips his hat to him. And he'll follow you out of the sheriff's office.
Nice to meet you, Sheriff.
Pleasure's mine. Okay. So you walk across the street, kind of down the block with Doc Scopes towards the shady lady. And the Hounds of Hell bay in the background. Okay. So as you make your way towards the shady lady, I think we're going to cut back to the ship where Quinn is with Yasukashi. And Yasukashi is like pacing. All right. So now we're going to go get my ship, right? Like now? Because it's been a little while.
Pretty soon. I'm just waiting for a signal.
Well, what kind of signal? Are they gonna shoot up a flare or like start a fire? Or what are we waiting for?
Radios, right? Just
hold your
horses. And he's basically just waiting to get a sign from one of his other party members that like, okay, we could use like, you starting the, like, we're in place and ready for you to start your shit, because I'm assuming there might be some security activity once we get started trying to steal this ship, and we don't want to throw everyone off if they have other plans.
Certainly. And even though we haven't played through the scene yet, who is it that makes the call to the captain?
I can't help but think it would be either Lily or Scoot, because these two freaking wild cards in the street are going to do something crazy, and I just get that vibe that it's going to be either Lily or Scoot to notice and make the call.
Excellent.
Sorry, I was muted. I was gonna say, yeah, it definitely feels like something that whenever it does happen, it's probably happening while running.
Okay.
We need a distraction.
All right, let's write that check. All right. So the call comes in, Quinn, the call that you've been waiting for. It's been some time. I would say probably closing in on an hour or so. And the call finally comes in from either Lily or Scoot. And they sound like they might be out of breath.
Yeah, the second he gets the go sign, I feel like it's like probably like 30 seconds after. I keep forgetting his name.
Yasukashi?
Yasukashi. As soon as Yasukashi has like finally been like, oh, this is taking forever, and is like settled in and like settled down, taking some weight off of his wounded leg, that's when it comes in. He's like, all right, come on. And he just lifts him to his feet and starts moving very quickly out of the ship, looking for the quickest, quietest route towards the border roll.
Excellent. Yeah, he kind of, curses out, my goddamn leg, as you kind of like haul him up onto his feet and you head
Shouldn't have
towards
sat down.
the border roll. You said to wait.
I didn't say to wait, relax.
Whatever. You kind of hustle across the platforms. You might even have to like change levels or something to be able to get to where the border roll is parked. And you can see that there are at least two gunmen that are kind of lazily standing guard at the platform where the border roll is located. So what's the plan? You're gonna go in there and fast talk them?
I'd rather have some sort of a distraction if we could. And I'll kind of look around, see if there's like another ship nearby that these two are like the nearest guards to, and see if there's something that he could maybe, make a loud noise with, or make explode or set on fire.
I mean, sure. There's all kinds of again, like fueling is a part of the process here. So there's fuel canisters and things like that are set around.
Oh yeah, okay. He's gonna if there's like a fuel line that seems like it's like pretty obvious. He just wants to like create enough of a cut, like a nick in it, to create a decent sized fuel leak that will that looks like, it needs to be like in an area where it looks like it will go towards them, like they will see it eventually. Like once it starts leaking, it'll be a thing that they probably have to deal with because it'll be dangerous.
Excellent. Okay. Do you want to use a plot point to create an asset?
Absolutely. I would love to do that.
Sweet. All right. So I'm going to, let's see here. All right. So you move over and, like you said, you kind of make this cut in the line, so to speak. And it begins kind of spouting this kind of fuel, this almost aerated fuel, and it's not difficult at all to kind of spark it, so that there's now this gout of flame that is kind of shooting out of the side of this pipe. And those two guards certainly react. They look up and notice that it's happening, and they both kind of scramble to their feet, and one of them kind of running towards the fire, and the other one looks like he's running towards what looks like a fire extinguisher. It's mounted on a wall somewhat nearby.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to take that opportunity to pull Yasukashi along and try to sneak onto the border roll.
Excellent. So it sounds like we got to roll. All right. So what distinction do you think might help you in this situation?
I'm thinking old and comfortable, preferably in my sleep. I want to die old and comfortable because I'm trying to do this like as quietly and as non-confrontationally as I can, not
Sure.
cause any harm or get any harm on myself.
Yeah, that makes sense. Kind of trying to be cautious. Okay, so that's a D8.
And then probably got my D6 fuel line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
My sneak, which is a D4. Oh boy.
Ooh. Okay. Okay. What about emotion?
Yeah, that one. Okay, let me think about this. Probably fear. I'm thinking
Okay.
fear because like I'm worried about like these dudes catching me, and I need to cause a distraction, otherwise my friends are in trouble.
Mm-hmm. Well, and again, you're kind of leveraging their fear of this, this tower possibly exploding.
Oh yeah, that as well. That's right.
So yeah, you're kind of
Think of
using
it more abstractly.
Right. Okay. How about value?
Maybe duty, like using their duty to protect the shipyard against them.
So right. So kind of emotion you're somewhat leveraging against them.
Okay.
The value would be more personal for you.
More
like
personal.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
That I don't really see any of those in there working because yeah, no, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. Value and relationship are both optional for building a dice pool, so there's no reason to call on that.
I almost want to spend a plot point to establish a relationship with this guy.
With Kashi?
Kashi, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
screw it.
I'm gonna do it just because.
Okay. Yeah, that makes really good sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so that'll be another D6 then.
Yeah. I think that seems worth it. That seems like enough. That's 5 dice. Hopefully some of them will be good.
Oh, what emotion would your relationship with Kashi be grounded in?
Anger.
Fair. Okay.
I don't trust
So
this
it wouldn't.
guy and
Yeah, that makes total sense with the way the scenes have played out. I would agree. So it won't chain up with the relationship and the emotion for the doubling your relationship die, but you will get the D6 from having a relationship with him.
Okay.
And then you make your roll.
All right. Okay. I want those, and then I guess that. Okay, so that's an 11, and my effect die is a D8.
Okay. Let me roll. These guys are okay. Need to re-roll 2 of those. Okay. Ooh, okay. All right, so you got an 11, you said?
Yes.
Okay. So you are taking full advantage of this distraction and moving towards the border roll, and just as you're kind of getting to the border roll and like bringing the docking ramp down, kind of thing, it comes down, and just as it's about to like reach the ground, Yasukashi kind of is like, oh, wait a second, and then it goes like pushes into the bottom of the. He's like, yeah, it needs to be adjusted. And you look up and realize that both of those guys, one of them with the fire extinguisher kind of engaged, are both now looking back in your direction. Okay, Austin, you're going to take non-physical stress to the tune of a D8.
Do I roll the D8 or is it?
No. So
Okay.
you should have a space on your sheet to record stress.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is now set to a D8. So that's going to be a complication for like them rolling against you for the rest of the scene.
Okay.
And if your stress in either physical or non-physical ever gets to a D12 and then steps up again, that's when you're taken out of a scene.
Okay.
So like, yeah, this was a horrendous noise and 100% drew their attention.
Well, that was kind of part of my point, my goal. So, I'm going to count it as a win.
Right. Okay. Yasukashi, he turns around and like jumps up onto the ramp, levels his gun towards the one with the fire extinguisher, and pulls the trigger. There's this BAM noise, but he kind of looks at his gun. The hell? Like points and squeezes another one. Pow! The hell's going on? Oh, damn it.
Quinn will take a shot at the fire extinguisher with his own gun as he's backing in like up the ramp.
Excellent. All right, so let's get a roll for your shot then. Same thing. All right, distinction.
That's probably going to be the ship captain for the Alliance.
Okay,
Some Alliance
absolutely.
training that from that.
Yep, that makes good sense.
I think for emotions, this one's like I don't want to shoot the dude. Like I'm trying to shoot the fire extinguisher, not the guy. Like I'd
Fair.
like to, if I can, like cause some problems for him, but not kill him. So
Okay.
I'm thinking, I don't know, that seems like a fear to me.
Yeah, I could see an argument for that.
Okay.
Okay. How about roll?
Roll. That seems like hot shot,
Sure.
or is that heavy?
Either
That might
one
be
would
heavy.
work. Hot shot for pulling off hitting a small target and kind of causing a secondary effect.
Yeah,
Or-
that actually that makes sense. I'm not trying to hurt him
Right.
necessarily or kill him. Okay. Yeah, so I'll go with hot shot,
Okay.
and
Cool.
then I don't think any of the values really play into this one either, because survival is not one of the values.
Mhm.
But I do have a signature asset. I have my pistol.
Oh yes, absolutely.
At a D8. So it'll give me
Cool.
3 D8s and a D10 to roll.
All right, and then you're gonna roll those up.
Not bad. All right. So that's gonna be a 14, and my effect die is a D10.
14 with a D10. Okay, so the best that guy is able to come up with is a 13 with an effect die of a D8, and because he's a minor NPC and your effect die is higher than his, he is taken out of the scene. So you can describe what that looks like.
So the bullet impacts with the fire extinguisher, and it just kind of rapidly decompresses, and it seems to like push him back for a minute, and slam him up against one of these kind of metal walls. And he just kind of thuds to the floor bonelessly for the time being, at least, probably concussed and unconscious.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's this like brilliant, plume of like this white kind of powdery substance that just flies out everywhere. It manages to put the fire out. So that the station is not going to likely explode unless that gas ignites again. And it also slams him up against the wall and knocks him unconscious. The second guard has pulled his rifle and he's kind of shooting at you. It's one of these kind of lever action rifles. He's shooting and pumping the action before he shoots again, trying to hit you in Yasukashi, who is already much deeper into the ship, and you can hear the startup of the engine beginning.
Yeah, Quinn will just try to slam the button to start the raising of the platform again, to have that metal in between him and the gunfire.
Absolutely.
Kind of duck and cover out of the way.
Yeah, you kind of like move out of the opening or whatever and hit the button, and you can hear it kind of kind of ricocheting off of the metal surfaces outside and inside the ship. And as we see the ship start to kind of like lift off of the landing platform, and some pandemonium start to unfold over there, we see like back in the town of Shilio, where you can just barely kind of see the border roll like rising up from the platform in the distance and kind of turning skyward. We cut back to where now we're inside of the Shady Lady, which is both the saloon and the brothel in this town. It's a rather large establishment. There is, a piano player against one wall. There's lots of tables with various different games of chance that are happening scattered throughout. There's a bar in the back that kind of stretches along the wall, kind of a mirror behind it, and variety of different bottles. Where they might be scant in their variety of candy, they are not scant in their variety of alcohol. And there's all manner of attractive women and men who are kind of working the room, so to speak. And in the back, you can see that there's a door that leads off of this main room, as well as a staircase that leads up into the upper floors. There's probably 24 people here. Most of them are patrons of some form of a variety. They're drinking or gambling, or are talking up one of the prostitutes. But there's also a number of armed, what look like gunmen, kind of scattered about the place. I would say probably 4 of them on this floor. As you enter, the proprietor of the establishment approaches. I guess it was probably Scoot and Lily that first came in. So Scoot, you walk through the door, and almost immediately a very beautiful but also very serious looking woman approaches you in kind of this very, very tight dress, kind of this dark features, dark makeup. She approaches you and she says, "Aren't you a little young to be in here, sir?"
Sir.
Her eyes kind of flit to Lily for just a second. "Ma'am?"
And I kind of nod, and I would put my hand on Scoot, like right here, and I'd be like, I hope you don't mind. I'm in here just while we're waiting for our uncles here, and I was gonna go over to the bar and get a drink. I'll make sure he doesn't get in any trouble. I'm babysitting."
I understand then. Well, you can have a seat here at the table. There should be an opening. She kind of like looks right here. Please, just if you would, make sure that he, well, there's a lot of variety here at the Shady Lady. Just make sure that he keeps his hands to himself.
I would kind of wink at her. I'm like, I understand completely. Thank you. And I would like sit him down almost like immediately in a chair that's nearby.
The whole time I look like I'm trying to say something, but the two of you are bantering back and forth. And when you say babysitting, you feel that tense.
Yeah. And I
sort
would
of tension.
squeeze just a little bit.
As you're pushing me into the chair, I'm like, maybe I should just go play outside.
No, by all means, Roger, you are more than mature enough to be in here while I'm having a drink, and I'll get you sarsaparilla or something. I will be right back. Don't move from that seat. And I would kind of go over to the bar, and I want to order freaking whiskey.
As soon as she goes to the bar, I'm taking off.
You asshole.
Perfect.
We got a mission here, and it ain't me sitting
Yeah,
drinking
I
sarsaparilla.
know. Oh.
All right. So, how is it that Scoot is making his exit from this room?
I think in that brief interaction, I'm using that to sort of kind of just figure out where in relation to the interior, where would the storeroom or the back entrance be? Because
So, yeah, go ahead.
I do want to try to clock that so I can use this to just literally just walk back out the door.
Sure.
While Lily's not watching, so that I can immediately try to get in through a different way.
Okay. So yeah, the other door that kind of leads out of this room, aside from the staircase, is your best guess as to where kind of the back door would be.
And I'm 100% basing this on Westerns and Red Dead Redemption. But
Sure.
going outside,
accurate.
I'm not looking just for like the entrance into the storeroom. I'm figuring that's also where there could possibly be a set of stairs that leads upstairs. Whatever the case, I'm looking for a different way that's not obviously the front. Because at this point, not knowing where everybody else is in their plan, and I'm just trying to get upstairs as quickly as possible and find this office and steal some shit.
Excellent. Okay. So you kind of step outside looking for that exterior staircase. You realize there is no exterior staircase, but there is what looks like a drain pipe. There's like a smash cut to, earlier in this probably same alleyway before where Silas and Van are kind of making their way towards this place with dock scopes. Well, the front of the building just seems like it makes a lot more sense as far as the picture. It's much more picturesque. I don't understand why you wanted to come. This alleyway is kind of dark.
My
What do you
mother
say?
would not approve of taking pictures in front of a brothel. You see, she could be quite demanding.
Well, I mean, look, I don't want to besmirch either your fellas, characters or anything, but
Well, she is Frau right is a fan of yours. I have to say, she'd be very pleased to find out that I met you here. But I don't want her to think that I was, engaging in. Well,
I see. Well, here we are. I think we've probably gone far enough. Yeah, don't want this to turn into a robbery or anything. He kind of looks from one to the other of you.
Imagine, I mean, as a rich boy like me going into a dark alley with a famous gunfighter like you.
Yes, indeed. He kind of his eyes shift to Van,
Manservant, will you take the photo?
Of course.
Sure. How about this right here? He kind of like indicates the side of the building that's, kind of blank.
Perfect. Yes. Do you mind if I put my arm around you?
Of course. And the handshake, of course.
Indeed. Yes. Like senatorial candidates, he'll say, and think of like those kind of pictures with like shaking hands and looking in the direction of the camera.
Exactly.
How empty is the alleyway?
Empty. Like there's, boxes and crates, that kind of thing, but no people.
Great. So I think Van knows what he's supposed to do here. But as I'm sort of getting ready, I'll like loosen a knife in my pocket, and I'll have that in my hand as I put it on his shoulder, just in case.
Okay, interesting. All right.
This wasn't the plan, but now it seems like a good opportunity to murder this man.
Right. So I think Van will like take this whatever data pad or whatever camera that he's supposed to use to take this picture, and I'll kind of like move around a little bit, like trying to like find a good angle. And I'll like take one or two here, basically just trying to like, I'll just take a couple and, whichever one's good will be good, sort of thing. And I'll like lean down to try to get like an upwards angle. And then he'll just reach down and throw sand in this guy's eyes, and then like jump him.
Yeah, I'll stab him in the back.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Say cheese.
Good Lord. All right. So, okay, so here we go. There's two of you and there's one of him. He's definitely much better at doing long range shooting. So this kind of a thing is without a doubt going to go in your favor. So I think we're just going to kind of skip forward to show that you're able to overpower him. And if you're wanting to actually kill him, you could do so. If you're wanting to simply like wound him and leave him here, you could do that as well. He's basically at your mercy. Go ahead.
As far as Silas is concerned, at least in his head, too many people have seen our faces, including this guy, to let him live.
Oh, definitely. Plus,
right?
if the goal is to send a message to Mr. Neptune, like one of your senior guys being strung up dead is like a pretty strong message.
Sure, absolutely.
So I think
okay.
Once he's subdued, Van would just, while he's knocked out, just kill him.
All right.
Yeah, I think the show wouldn't dwell on it, like show the scene. Probably it would just show us like walking away with like maybe a blood stain on it.
See the blood spreading in the sand or something as we walk out of the alley.
Absolutely. And do you just kind of leave his body just kind of laying unceremoniously in the alleyway to be found?
Is there a convenient dumpster?
I mean, not like a dumpster, but you could put him like behind some barrels or something like that here in the alleyway.
I think we want to give ourselves time to get out, right? Like
we want him to be somewhere that he will be found.
Sure.
Soon, but not like someone walks by and glances over and there's his body soon.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Again, there's not like a ton of stuff here in the alleyway, so that it's probably not going to be long. But it would definitely give you some time to kind of put him behind. And then you kind of move off towards the Shady Lady. Is that where your next destination is? Just to go in there?
We want to go, I think, opposite the direction of the sheriff office, because he's the other person who's seen us, our faces. And if we're walking around without the doc, that's an obvious red flag. So I think we want to start making our way away, potentially.
Okay.
I don't know that we're going to get the other guy now in time, because we've killed one and we're on a very seriously ticking clock, I think.
And I think it's probably at that time that you kind of like look up and you see the border roll, like, exiting atmosphere. Okay. We're going to hard cut from that to our last scene for the session. We're back on board the Heck. Sometime in the past, Scoot, you're sitting at the mess table, a bowl of soup in front of you. Who's in the mess hall with Scoot? What's that conversation like?
I would think it'd be probably Quinn and Lily.
Yeah. So Quinn has sat Scoot down and got him a bowl of soup and like a little like bit of whatever this terrible bread substitute sort of thing that we have that lasts like months and months and months. And it's like, yeah, it starts off stale, so it never really has a chance to get stale.
It's ironically called Lembus bread.
And I think Scoot's probably just been eating all of this voraciously. And Quinn's just waiting for him to be kind of at a pausing point. So why'd you take the list? The other things I understand, they're shiny, interesting, maybe worth something. Why did you take Lily's repair list?
And Lily at this point would almost on cue, like her elbows would go onto the table and lean forward at him, kind of.
I take a couple extra beats as I'm sort of emptying the bowl, lifting the whole bowl up and just to the point where you realize I've already drank all the soup out of it. And I'm just stalling, making that extra, few seconds, realizing that there is nothing to blend into or get away from here. I finally set the bowl down and kind of look back and forth at the two of you sheepishly, and I didn't take that stuff because it was shiny or even because it was necessarily, worth something. I wasn't gonna keep it. It was just what I took was something you cared about. Not enough to like that it was valuable, terribly so to you, but it was something that seemed like was, you. I've been in the walls of the ship for, I don't know, how long has it been? Days at this point?
Probably.
I've been hiding out in the crawl spaces for about a week. Or I don't know actually, for sure.
Over at Quinn.
Whenever it was you left Donkey Town.
He kind of, his eyes grow a little wide. It's been at least 10 days.
And
Somebody really likes crackers.
I would look back at Scoot and I would just say, that doesn't make sense. If you take something that's important to us, I mean, you're asking to get caught. You didn't want to get caught. Did you?
I just wanted to get off. I didn't want to be dirt side anymore. And I thought, I thought I could stow away and hide out until, you made your next stop. But y'all don't stop very often.
No.
And the longer I spent moving around in the crawl spaces and kind of overhearing your talk and seeing what y'all was doing, and I started to see who y'all were, as individuals. And weirdly I got lonely. All right. I ain't never had really much of anybody other than the other dirt siders and knocking around in the spaceport, just trying to beg food, beg, borrow, and steal, whatever. And I don't know. I just figured at first I'd just take a little bit of this or that beyond the food. And I think I kind of knew you'd eventually figure out something was up.
You wanted to get caught.
Well, I mean, for a couple days, it was kind of funny that you thought I was a ghost.
You son of a bitch.
But I got all your stuff back in that storeroom I was hiding out in.
Well, here's the deal, Scoot. We can't be having a stowaway on board. And
Don't space me.
We can't be keeping you around as a stowaway. So suppose you're gonna have to work to earn your keep. Can't pay you much, don't earn much, but when we do earn some of it'll be yours. You got small hands, you're pretty slight. I think you can get in places that we can't. Could be good to have on board. Lily, I think you'll be able to find use for him in the engine room from time to time.
I sure will.
All right.
Wait.
Well, like I said, not a lot of money in it, but usually enough to keep us fed and keep us flying.
Hold on a second. You're not going to space me.
I mean, if you
Why would I space my employee?
I stowed away on your ship and I stole food and stuff from y'all, and you're giving me a Goram job?
I figure a few weeks extra food is only made up by the low wages. I really can't emphasize how little you're about to be paid, but
it's pitiful, kid. It's 3 hots and a cot. That's
don't
like
get
tip-top.
fooled by this place.
As long as I can keep having some of this soup and bread.
Look at the kid. It's like
I
think we're feeding him strawberries.
Yeah.
I just sit up and salute him, and then I kind of look over at Lily, and I imagine this kind of sets up. It's like the first of this sort of dynamic between Lily and Scoot, where I just kind of lean over to Lily and I go, "What the hell's a strawberry?"
I couldn't tell you.
Perfect. Okay. I think. Yeah. Okay. That scene ends and we see the alleyway. And we see just like this patch of dark sand. And we see the blood kind of run across the sand as we hear, "What the hell's a strawberry?" And then we cut. That's it. Black. Oh, this is incredible. I love this game. I love the system. Y'all are fantastic. This has been incredible. So thank you very, very much. I'm going to pass things over to these fine players so that they can give any closing remarks that they might have, touch again on anything that they might have going on or where you can find them on the internet, and then we're going to call it an evening. So we'll start in reverse order with Lloyd.
Yep, I have a Twitch channel, Twitch/JarlDM, where sometimes I run games. This is so good. It's really fun. There's like a lot of interesting stuff happening. I really like the how did we find Scoot sort of plot of this episode. It was great. And there was like, so it's so nice, like how all the threads that happen are picked up again and again. It's just like always very satisfying. Yeah, great game. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Yeah, one of the key things that I found the most appealing from the Cortex role-playing system is when in the book it describes that your sessions are almost like episodes of a television series. And so you're kind of encouraged to structure your sessions that way, where it's scenes. That was kind of liberating. I kind of tend to do that in a lot of my games anyways, even games of Dungeons and Dragons. But having that kind of, I guess, the permission, like to structure it that way, made a lot of sense. It resonated with me. So I'm really happy that part of it is hitting home. That makes me really happy to hear. So thank you. Next we have Jeff.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic game as always. If you want to see other stuff that I do, Tabletop Terrors on YouTube and Patreon. But yeah, this group of characters and players and just everything is so fantastic. I'll echo what Lloyd said, like the thread of like the whole Scoot thing was extremely well done. And I think it's also like a great way with how few sessions we have to like still fill in a lot of cool history that you might not normally get to see in this sort of game, which is really cool. Also, random note, like I love, and this is purely incidental and accidental, but like the only role Van made this whole game was in the chess game, making it like murdering, this legendary sharpshooter and all this stuff. Like none of that needs a role. The only thing I have to put effort into is like trying to beat Silas in a chess game, which was just a random incidental funny story thing that I noticed. Yeah, love this game, love this group. It's super fun.
Yeah, it's interesting. Coming again from Dungeons and Dragons, where everything is so combat heavy, so combat focused, to a game like this where everything is kind of more on an even keel, and you can kind of put the narrative emphasis where you need or want it to be. So it's a really interesting system. And again, I have no clue if I'm running this right, but I'm having fun, and that's really all that matters. So in the end, this may not be a great Cortex Prime tutorial game, but it will at least hopefully be entertaining for people who are tuning in. And yeah, at the very least, I'm having a good time. So, all right. Next, speaking of a good time, Austin.
Yeah, I'm having a blast with this one. This whole game has been very, very fun, and it keeps like ending on such a dark note, and I love that. Like, this is the second time where they've like shot someone or murdered someone, just done some extreme violent act to cap off this session of like mostly fairly lighthearted like jabs of like crew members and also murder. So I'm thoroughly enjoying it, and I can't wait to see who we kill next time. I think we got to blow some shit up, most likely, because we got to escalate. And unfortunately, I don't know if Yasukashi's making it out of this game alive, because like I have a feeling that he's gonna be trouble.
Maybe. Yeah, I think maybe the third session will be called Soup and Murder. This has been just so much fun already, and I cannot wait to see how the last session is going to go. I definitely got a couple of things planned that we didn't necessarily get to in this session that'll make it into next session, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun, I hope. Anyways, we're going to move right along to Carrie.
Yep. I'm Carrie. You can find me on Monday nights on Mini Terrain Domain. This game, guys, has been just so much fun. I'm really in my own dumb brain. I'm sort of treating this like my tryout. Like, I hope he invites me back. Like for other, it's been so fun playing with you guys, and my only downside is that this mini campaign is only 3 sessions. This has been so much fun, such a fun group, and great characters, great system. I couldn't be happier that y'all invited me.
Absolutely, my pleasure, Carrie. Thank you for agreeing to play. Especially again, not having seen Firefly. You have slipped into the nuance of the setting and the genre very, very well. It is surprising that you haven't seen any of it. And yeah, absolutely. You're welcome back anytime. I will definitely be trying to contact you in the future when I've got games and seeing if you want to play in them. So thank you. All right, last but certainly not least, we've got Jacob.
One of my favorite things is when your friends meet your other friends and they become friends. I've known for a couple of years how awesome of a player Carrie is. Getting to play in a long-running, rotating game master series of Call of Cthulhu, and for 7-8 months now in our Monday night campaign. Fun fact, Carrie and I live an hour away from each other and have never met in person, but we've known each other probably like 4 years. Anyway, yeah, this was absolutely awesome. Jeremy, kudos on the 3-way party split scene switching. I know that can be challenging as a game master. Again, Carrie and co put me through that multiple times in our games. I love it as a game master. I think you handled it expertly, especially with the using that model as a TV show and finding those moments that were perfect places to scene switch. And I love the dynamic of this session. I love being, I love that all of the flashbacks did not involve me at all, but were entirely about my character. But Jeremy had given me a heads up that this was going to happen. So it was fun. It was fun to watch you all react to that. I totally was like writing down, what are you missing? What are you missing? So I know what I stole later on. But yeah, this has been a blast. The Cortex system is growing on me. It's a super crunchy, complex system. And whether or not we're playing it right, Jeremy, I think you're doing a great job of taking that sort of meta aspect of the game, the mechanics of it, and putting it the right emphasis and putting it into the story in the way that it doesn't, even though we spend a few minutes figuring out dice rolls, it doesn't feel like we're being ripped out of the story to, figure out the rules. And I think it's just been, look, I don't play 4-hour games anymore. I'm getting too old for this. And I just realized we've been playing for almost 4 hours. So hats off to you, man, as always.
Thank you, Jake. I appreciate that wholeheartedly, man. Yeah, this is a really fun game. I'm having a blast doing this, and it is a really good way to explore this system. Yeah, I'm super pleased with how this has gone so far, and I'm glad that the things that you are all saying are enjoyable and working are things that I have put thought and effort into. So to hear that it's paying off is very good. That makes me very happy. Anybody who mentioned a channel, you should be able to find the link for that in the description of this video. Please do take the time to go check out their stuff. These are all wonderful players and fantastic people as well. So please take the time to go show them some love and support. Speaking of love and support, if you like what you saw here, please hit the like button, subscribe, all of that business. Talk about it with your friends, share the link around. I'm really excited to try to see if I can't keep growing the channel and keep doing what I like doing. So yeah, thank you very much, whether you tuned in live with us this afternoon or whether you may be watching at some point in the future. Know that, please, that it is deeply, deeply appreciated from the bottom of my heart. I do what I do because I love it and because I like entertaining friends at the table with me, but I also do try to be cognizant and aware of the way that it is presented to you as an audience. So I hope that you have enjoyed the game. And until next time, may your dice roll high and your snacks always be within reach.